Thank you, thank you. Thank you, King. What a way to start off. I love colors. Hey, T-Steppers. Come on in. Sorry I'm late. I'm still kind of tired from last night, early this morning. And I woke up to a little bit of this and a little bit of that. So come on in. Where do we begin? I'm going to start off with him. Let's listen to this while everybody else come in.
In my case, is your money dirty money?
Hell yeah.
I just asked a question. Is your money dirty money? No, it's not. So, in fact, why is it not dirty money? Because I earned it. But you earned it. I earned it. We went back to this before. You earned it. You earned it advising the worst people in the world, right? That do enormous bad things, and just to make more money. So, instead of asking me the question, should you take the money? Because I think it's a legitimate question. You think it's a legitimate question? Yes, no question. Because I think you have to, ethics is always a complicated subject. But I can tell you that with the money I gave to help try to eradicate polio in Pakistan and India,
He don't think his money.
instead of asking me whether that money
He don't think it's ill-begotten
to these children for vaccines, I think you might want to ask their mothers who received the vaccine, who know their child now won't get polio, and ask them if Epstein should have helped these people. If we walked in, you're a mathematician. We walked into that clinic where they're giving that money out to these people that are the most dire straits of poverty and sickness, and told them that the money was coming from a, class 3 sexual predator? Tier 1. Was tier 1's the highest and worst? No, I'm the lowest. I'm the lowest. You're the lowest. Okay, tier 1, you're the lowest. But a criminal. Yes. That the money came from them. What percentage of people do you estimate? I understand you don't like probabilities. Do you estimate would say, I don't care, I want the money for my children? I would say everyone said, I want the money for my children. Did they know where the money came from?
And that's sad, because there are some mothers out there that would have taken the money, even knowing that he was what he was doing, and that they were compromising their kids. A lot of people didn't. I'm assuming. I'm going to make that assumption, but there are some who did, and just to listen to him, it's just it's how he can justify it. But after watching the reptilians late last night, early this morning, early in the morning hour, yeah, it's evil, and they are a machine, and their mindset is just of another place, for real, not Earth. Himself said, I'm going to exchange some dollars for your child's life. Do you think you're the devil himself? Hell yeah. No, but I do have a good mirror. What does that mean? It's a serious question. Do you think you're the devil himself? I don't know. Why would you say that? Because you have all the attributes. You're incredibly smart. You remember, the devil is somebody knows what? The devil's brilliant. You read Milton's Paradise Lost. No, the devil's... It's a serious question. Do you think you're the devil himself? I don't know. Why would you say that? Because you have all the attributes. You're incredibly smart. You remember, the devil is somebody knows what? You think you're the devil himself? I don't know. Why would you say that? Because you have all the attributes. You're incredibly smart. You remember, the devil is somebody knows what? The devil's brilliant. You read Milton's Paradise Lost. No, the devil scares me. Satan is at the number 1 or 2 archangel. And the reason Archangel he goes to hell and leads the rebellion is because he can't be the top guy. And his thing is, I'd rather. And that's what we noticed last night. Well, that's what I noticed last night when we were watching the alpha reptilian, the fight with these creatures and military, CIA, you know, they are the ones behind in the clouds, I guess, in the field. I mean, I don't know where they are, pulling strings with these elites. And it is a spiritual warfare. And it's as if they are really trying to rewrite not only just history, in addition to history, they are trying to rewrite the Bible, but rewriting it in the total opposite. Instead of love, it's hate. Instead of peace, it's turmoil. Total opposite. And they are trying to have the world left without God. And then they're going to create, they are trying to procreate with this demonic mindset. He wants his DNA in everybody. It's kind of like the mark of the beast. His DNA in everybody on earth that's left. Yeah, I better stay woke. And that's why they're putting poison in the food, spraying the fields, coming up or creating pandemics. They created the CO-19. They created the cocktail in your arm. Never told you what was in it. Just giving the arms away. Here you go. And now we're finding out they put all type of diseases in the cocktail on purpose. Mad scientist. Not only was he a PDFer, not only was he an apist of minors, toddlers at times, boys and girls, teenagers. Had to be, him and his homeboy Trump, they had to be under 18, 17, was pushing it. That's just so messed up. 17 was pushing it. They asked you how old. Oh, they was 18. I don't want none of that. Babies, toddlers, preteen, and teen. Sick. Absolutely sick. And so when they said about the devil was an angel, absolutely. He was kicked out, yes. And the devil is still in competition with God. Whatever God can do, I can do better. It's kind of like their mentality to me. That's kind of how I sum it up. To hear that young lady talk about her DNA was spliced, and that he's like a mad scientist with that Hawkins guy testing, trying to dominate the Jews, especially the ones that are not true to it. But let's keep listening so we can go on. It's just mind-blowing to me. Thought-provoking.
He is at the number 1 or 2 archangel. And the reason he goes to hell and leads the rebellion is because he can't be the top guy. And his thing is, I'd rather reign in hell than serve in heaven. I saw that in a movie once.
Look at it. It made him smile. And hell, we know his best friend for life BFF, we absolutely know without a shadow of a doubt that he is rebellious. He don't give a flying fluke, and he has already said that he knows without a shadow of a doubt there is no redemption of sin for him. That's just how far he know he has gone. I would never have said that. And then you could hear him not too long ago lying in people's face, saying, I'm trying to make it to heaven. Well, I thought you said you couldn't enter. Well, what are you doing? You lying, you playing again. Yeah, no, it's a no for me.
Called American Dharma. I don't remember who said it. Okay? You have to go.
He's scared of the devil. You scared of Donald Trump? Or what? Are y'all evil twins? What?
Paradise Lost. No, the devil scares me. Satan is the he. No, why would you say that? Because you have all the attributes. You're incredibly smart. You remember the devil is somebody who knows what. Your child's life. Do you think you're the devil himself? No, but I do have a good mirror. It's a serious question. Sorry. Do you think you're the devil himself? I don't know. Why would you say that? Because you have all the attributes. You're incredibly smart. You remember the devil is somebody who knows what. The devil's brilliant. You read Milton's Paradise Lost. No, the devil scares me. Satan is at the number 1 or 2 archangel, and the reason he goes to hell and leads the rebellion is because he can't be the top guy.
Can't be
and
the
his
top.
Thing is, I'd rather reign in hell than serve in heaven. I saw that in a movie once called American Dharma. I don't remember who said it. Okay, you have to go. Okay, good. Read it.
He's scared of the devil, but he plays with the devil. Yeah, listen, I keep saying it over and over again. Please don't play with the devil. You just do not know how far he is going to pull you in. Let's go. I'm moving. I got to go and get something to eat. Let's go. Let's see what he's talking about. The dark secrets is coming.
Donald Trump and his entire regime are panicking as the Midas Touch network keeps on dropping the receipts regarding Donald Trump's connections with Jeffrey Epstein. Donald Trump and his regime can't handle the fact that we've already gotten hundreds of millions of views on this YouTube channel. The Midas Touch Network is now beating the Joe Rogan podcast on this YouTube channel based on the latest rankings with our coverage of Donald Trump's connections with Epstein. Now, folks, we're not just covering it over the past few weeks.
Ben.
We've been covering this for years and years and years, and we've been digging up all the archival footage. So what we're able to do when we read the files is we can then show corresponding videos, witness statements, and as a former litigator, I think, in my opinion, that is, I can build a very compelling racketeering case against Donald Trump for his dastardly and despicable behavior. So we dropped a video yesterday on some of these videos. It got over 2 million views. Let's do it again. And I want to show you first this BBC Panorama
please
series
hit the like
from
button
2018.
as you come in. I would greatly
Notably,
appreciate
Donald
it.
Trump recently sued BBC regarding its Panorama series coverage regarding the January 6th insurrection. Remember, Trump sued the BBC? Well, if you go back to 2018, they did an incredible doc on Donald Trump called Sex Pest, and everybody should go and watch the full doc. But we've been talking about these videos for a very long time, because in it, BBC identified numerous eyewitnesses back then. What I think is very helpful is finding the witnesses who talked about it in 2018, in 2016, in the early 2000s, in the 1990s. So you have that basis of comparison as well. So let's just pull out the receipts, shall we? And let's make the Trump regime extreme panic even more. As Democratic Congress member Ted Lieu writes, the interview that the Midas Touch Network just posted with someone by the name of Barbara Pilling sheds light on why Attorney General Pam Bondi paused for so long before responding to a question about whether Donald Trump attended parties with underage girls. He did, is the answer. Many times Donald Trump attended parties with underage girls. So just ask yourself this question. When Donald Trump was in his 40s and 50s and 60s, okay, why was he doing parties with underage girls? Why would he even do that to begin with? And then, of course, yesterday in the video that's gotten over 2 million views, I reported how a business person who ran a pageant said that Donald Trump and Epstein brought in lots of girls, and they said they were going to have a modeling competition at Mar-a-Lago, and there would be all these other guys from the fashion industry there, but it ended up just being Donald Trump and Epstein and these girls. Why would you do that? What do you think Donald Trump and Epstein were doing with the girls? So first, I want to share with you the cross-exam by Ted Lieu of Bondi, and then I'm going to show what Barbara Pilling said, and then I'm going to show you some of what the beauty pageant contestants in Trump's beauty pageant said about him walking in on them naked, or walking in on them as they were changing. And then I'm going to show you what Donald Trump told a group of high school students, where he said it was a very courageous act when he talked about grabbing women without consent by their genitals. In other words, sexually assaulting women. Trump spoke with high school kids and college kids, and he told them that it was so courageous that military generals praised him. You remember when he said that? If not, I'm going to go and show you that. And maybe, you know what, I'll show you too. I'll show you when Donald Trump spoke at a high school, and he was speaking to the high schoolers and people at the high school. I believe it was in Iowa, about golden showers, about getting peed on by hookers. And he said, I don't like that. I don't like he goes, Melania knows I don't like golden showers because I don't like germs. He said, I don't want to get peed on by hookers. I'm not into that. Why would you bring that up during a speech? You ready for the receipts, Midas Mighty? Make sure you hit subscribe, by the way, to our YouTube channel. You see how close we are to 6 million subscribers? Help us get to 6 million. We would be very grateful. All right. First, here's what went down.
On itself, absolutely.
I played you the clip of Ted Lieu.
Were there any underage girls at that party, or at any party that Trump attended with Jeffrey Epstein?
Yeah, because she was probably one of them.
This is so ridiculous. And that they are trying.
Let's be clear. There is a strong, with the strong arm, with the strong, she was one of them. In fact, she kind of favors one of the little girls that was on that plane with him on the thumbnail. If we want to be technical, I tried to show y'all them pictures. Looked like she was maybe 19 at that time, and she was at one of them parties, 18, 19 years old. Baby, they came for that one so quick. They said, Auntie Fee. Now, I know you know, boo-boo. Boo-boo. You, give me that. Give me that. No. I said, no. No, I said, can I appeal it? They said, no harm, no foul. But give me that. I'm trying to find it. Yeah. But if we look at that thumbnail, she favors one of them girls. For real, for sure. So for her to be styling, playing around. Let me see. She looked like that girl back there by where that fog. Or either that one with that's kind of real orangey. Yeah. Let's just be clear. She favors one of those girls, and there's a strong possibility that she could have been one. Let's go. Why you sitting here looking crazy? Like you don't know what to say, like you didn't know that you was gonna be asked that. But come carry on.
with Jeffrey Epstein.
This is so ridiculous.
Good,
And that
please.
they are trying to deflect from all the great things Donald Trump has done.
Okay, now here is the host saying what's most shocking is the age of some of these models that would go to these Trump events. Here, play this clip.
We've spoken to a number of sources who saw Donald Trump at the parties. Most paint a similar picture.
Just describe to us the way Donald Trump behaved at these parties.
I mean, this guy it was like a predator in action.
Went to the washroom, and I was going in, and a girl was coming out, and she kind of looked at.
Most paint a similar picture.
Just describe to us the way Donald Trump behaved at these parties.
I mean, this guy
We've spoken to a number of sources who saw Donald Trump at the parties. Most paint a similar picture.
Just describe to us the way Donald Trump behaved at these parties.
I mean, this guy it was like a predator in action.
Went to the washroom, and I was going in, and a girl was coming out, and she kind of looked at me, and I go, "Have you talked to that Trump guy?" And she goes, "Yeah." As I was walking by, he's like trying to grab my ass.
We do know that he was having sex with them.
How do you know that?
Because the guy it was like a predator in action.
Went to the washroom, and I was going in, and a girl was coming out, and she kind of looked at me, and I go, "Have you talked to that Trump guy?" And she goes, "Yeah." As I was walking by, he's like trying to, and I was going in, and a girl was coming out, and she kind of looked at me, and I go, "Have you talked to that Trump guy?" And she goes, "Yeah." As I was walking by, he's like trying to grab my ass. Looked at me, and I go, "Have you talked to that Trump guy?" And she goes, "Yeah." As I was walking by, he's like trying to grab my ass.
We do know that he was having sex with them.
How do you know that?
Because the next day or days after we'd hear about it, he'd brag about it to his friends, and it would get around that he scored, maybe one or two girls at a time, which is what he loved to do.
One or two minors
There's
at
no
a
evidence that
time.
Donald
Get around that he scored, maybe one or two girls at a time, which is what he loved to do.
There's no evidence
Bragging.
that Donald Trump
He'd brag about it to his friends, and it would get around that
"Have you talked to that Trump guy?" And she goes, "Yeah." As I was walking by, he's like trying to grab my ass.
We do know that he was having sex with them.
How do you know that?
Because the next day or days after we'd hear about it, he'd brag about it to his friends, and it would get around that he scored, maybe one or two girls at a time, which is what he loved to do.
There's no evidence that Donald Trump slept with underage girls.
It is if they said it.
But what's most shocking is the age of some of the models at the parties.
There was girls, I would say 14, 15 years old, from Europe, the European girls.
They were 14 or
There
15?
were girls that were 14, 15 years old, for sure. I mean, I didn't run up and say, "How old are you?" But they looked younger than I was, and I was 17. You just knew because of what they were wearing and how they would hold themselves.
And how what?
And these girls are all
From Europe, the European girls.
They were 14 or
There
15?
were girls that were 14, 15 years old, for sure. I mean, I didn't run up and say, "How old are you?" But they looked younger than I was, and I was 17. You just knew because of what they were wearing and how they would hold themselves.
And these girls are all anywhere from 14, 15, 16 years old. There was very few girls above the age of 19 there.
And you saw Donald Trump with these girls who were that young, 15, 16?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, they're standing around with them, ogling them.
It was just disgusting. I felt like I was in the presence of a shark we're getting ready to roll his eyes back in his head and bite me. You know, that's how I felt. It was just like, get the hell out of here.
Roll his eyes in the back of his head and bite me. She said she felt like he was a shark about to get his feast on, roll his eyes in the back of his head, and eat her. Wow.
14, 15, 16 years old. There was very few girls above the age of 19 there.
And you saw Donald Trump with these girls who were that young, 15, 16?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Absolutely.
I mean, they're standing around with them, ogling them.
I thought he was standing
It
around
was just
where?
disgusting. I felt like I was in the presence.
And you saw Donald Trump with these girls who were that young, 15, 16?
There was very few girls above the age of 19 there.
And you saw Donald Trump with these girls who were that young, 15, 16?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, they're standing around with them, ogling them.
It was just disgusting. I felt like I was in the presence of a shark we're getting ready to roll his eyes back in his head and bite me. You know, that's how I felt. It was just like, get the hell out of here.
All right, now here's another clip from that documentary. Barbara Pilling, the narrator, talks about how Barbara Pilling was a young model from New York. Just watch for yourself.
Barbara Pilling was a young model in New York. She first saw Donald Trump at a party in the late 80s. She's never spoken publicly about it before.
He said, how old are you? And I said, 17. He goes, oh, great. So you're not too old, not too young. That's just great. I remember one of the waitresses offered him a drink. He didn't take the drink, and he slapped her bottom. She was a blonde. He gave her a butt a slap, and he was very loud. He was like, don't worry, that's not your tip.
Wow.
Heather Braden.
So you're not too old, not too young. That's just great. I remember one of the waitresses offered him a drink. So you're not too old, not too young. That's just great. I remember one of the waitresses.
Late 80s. She's never spoken publicly about it before.
He said, how old are you? And I said, 17. He goes, oh, great. So you're not too old, not too young. That's just great. I remember one of the waitresses offered him a drink. He didn't take the drink, and he slapped her bottom. She was a blonde. He gave her a butt a slap, and he was very loud. He was like, don't worry, that's not your tip.
I was just mind
She was a
blown.
blonde. He gave her a butt a slap, and he was very loud. He was like, don't worry, that's not your tip.
Heather Braden also saw Donald Trump at model parties in the 90s. One was in Florida. At 23, she was one of the oldest women there.
I remember particularly seeing him at a party at a house in Miami. This particular party, there were 4 men and probably 50 models.
4 men and 50 models.
That's approximately what I would remember. And I was one of the models. I mean, I felt like I was in some, I could have been very well being auctioned off in some sort of a sex slave ring. That's how I felt. I felt like a piece of meat in a meat market. What else could I feel like?
Then they talk about what would go down in the beauty pageants. Here, play this clip.
I remember being in the back and hearing the chaperones say, ladies, listen up. We've got someone that's going to come in and see you. Make sure you're at least covered up. All of the girls were changing, getting their bras and underwear on and getting ready to put on their opening number outfits.
So when Donald Trump walked in, there were women in there who weren't fully clothed.
Correct. Women were not fully clothed when Donald Trump came in.
And some of those women were, what, as young as 15?
Yes, 15 years old.
Now, next, I want to share with you what Miss North Carolina from 2006 said about Donald Trump. This is when Don Lemon was on CNN. This was back during the first time Donald Trump ran. Here's what, again, Miss North Carolina 2006 had to say. Play this clip.
Is it normal to see men in dressing rooms at pageants and the owner of the pageant?
No. No, the director of the North Carolina, South Carolina, Louisiana, and Alabama pageants, it's very much a family atmosphere. She doesn't even go backstage when the girls are getting ready. Only the female chaperones are allowed backstage in the dressing rooms with the girls. I've never had an experience where there were men or directors or anything like that walking back in the dressing rooms.
Yeah. As I understand, there you have an experience of something that happened the night before the pageant?
Well, not the night before the pageant, but when we were in New York City on the media tour, they were doing a book launch at Trump Towers for the Universal Beauty book, and they had a bunch of former Miss USAs and Miss Universes and all 51 of us, and we did the red carpet, and that was tons of fun. And then they lined us all up, and Trump went down the line, and he shook your hand and, looked you over, looked you up and down, head to toe, and was just checking everybody out.
And you thought you felt?
I felt very dirty. It was very creepy. It's kind of like when you're at a bar and a creepy guy is checking you out. That was the experience for me.
We're a year into the new administration, and it's getting harder to read the news and see the continued attacks on our First Amendment freedoms daily. Now is the time to look for helpers, those who are strategically fighting day in and day out to preserve our constitutional freedoms. One of the orgs fighting the good fight is Americans United for Separation of Church and State. Their mission is to protect everyone's right to live as they are and believe as they choose, so long as they don't harm others. AU is fighting back against the wave of Christian nationalist threats happening across.
Hit the like button, y'all. Hold on.
To say, play this clip.
He just came strolling right in. There was no second to put a robe on or any sort of clothing or anything. Some girls were topless, other girls were naked.
As Miss Arizona 2001, Tasha Dixon competed in the Miss USA pageant. Donald Trump owned the contest along with Miss Universe and Miss Teen USA for 19 years.
Our first introduction to him was when we were at the dress rehearsal and half naked, changing into our bikinis. To have the owner come waltzing in when we're naked or half naked in a very physically vulnerable position, and then to have the pressure of the people that work for him telling us to go fawn all over him, go walk up to him, talk to him.
And Dixon has strong opinions about what she thinks were Trump's motivations.
I'm telling you, Donald Trump owned the pageant for the reason to utilize his power to get, around beautiful women.
Dixon, who lives in West Hollywood, was 18 at the time.
Who do you complain to? He owns the pageant. So there's no one to complain to. Everyone there works for him.
The year she competed, the theme was empowering women. And after hearing recent audio of Trump talking about women, she decided to speak out.
I'm Miss Arizona, so I veer more on the conservative side. But I just like to choose what's right.
Excuse me, sir, how old were you when you made your first million?
What is this for?
We're trying to get advice for the younger generation.
I made my first million last year, actually.
What line of work are you in?
I'm in sales.
Okay, what's the best advice you can give someone that's in sales?
You're only as good as your sales reps and your CRM.
What CRM do you use?
We used to use one of the old legacy CRMs, but it just didn't give us the speed and agility that we needed. But then we switched to Monday CRM and sales started flying.
Why is the CRM so important?
Well, no specific CRM can make you a millionaire, but if you want to move fast in today's world, you need a CRM that doesn't hold you back. Monday CRM propels you forward. Instead of spending time messing around with old systems, you can invest in relationships, in cultivating leads, and in closing deals.
One last piece of advice for our viewers.
Make sure you have the right tools for your journey. If not, stop now, find the right CRM.
Now, you know what Donald Trump said, though, right? I mean, he's on audio with Howard Stern saying that when you own beauty pageants the way he does, that he thinks that he's entitled to go in and inspect and look at the girls naked. He goes, that's what you do. And by the way, remember the people's ages at these beauty pageants: 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, maybe some in their 20s, but by and large, very young girls at Trump's pageants. And Trump says at the pageants, he looks at the girls naked. Remember what he said? Play this clip.
Well, you could also say, as the owner of the pageant, it's your obligation to do that.
So you have done that. Now tell me.
I'll tell you the funniest is that I'll go backstage before a show.
Yes.
And everyone's getting dressed and ready and everything else. And, no men are anywhere. And I'm allowed to go in because I'm the owner of the pageant, and therefore I'm inspecting it. I'm inspecting. I want to make sure that
You're like
everything is good.
You're there.
Yeah, the dress. Is everyone okay? They standing there with no clothes. Is everybody okay? And you see these incredible looking women. And so I sort of get away with things like.
All right, and remember how Donald Trump treated Alicia Machado, who won Miss Universe? Remember back then? Here, play this clip.
For the first time in the history of the pageant, viewers can actually participate. There'll be a question up, and the viewers can actually call in and vote. Let's bring up the question. It says, should a pageant title holder be required to maintain her physical appearance during her reign? Why do you think this is an important question the viewers would care about? Well, it's something that really has come up over the last year, and Alicia has done an incredible job. She really has turned out to be one of the great Miss Universes, I will say. And she had a little problem during the middle where she gained a little weight.
I don't think so.
Yeah, she's probably right.
I don't think so.
Okay. And so let's talk about that debate, because it's interesting. The viewers are going to make a decision today, and they're going to vote in one way or the other. Alicia, do you think that should matter? Because after all, you were voted in as being the most beautiful woman in the world.
I am the most beautiful woman in the world.
I certainly don't doubt that.
With 20 pounds or no pounds, I am the most beautiful woman in the world.
Do you not think that it's important to maintain a certain look during that year?
Yes, of course, but I think all women in the world have a problem with the weight.
Right.
And I think maybe I had some problem with this, but I'm fine now, and I think 15 pounds is nothing with 20 years old. And I think the most important for the next Miss Universe, and then is no more dinners, no more lunch, no more breakfast, and no more when you travel, diplomatic dinners and parties.
I think what Donald's talking about, and I think most people agree, that there is a look to Miss
And
Universe.
more time for go to the gym. It's very important because when you are Miss Universe, you don't have time for nothing.
Right. Donald, how do you think that this Miss Universe will be different from the others? Well, I don't know that it's going to be different. We have many beautiful women, and it's actually incredible. I was over there today, and the women are magnificent. And so I don't think it's going to be different. It's going to be more of the same.
And just to make you remember, too, or have you remember, the first time Donald Trump ran, right, when the statements came out where he said grab women by their vaginas and when you're rich you get away with it. Remember, he said he grabbed them he used the P word. He then didn't attend the beauty pageant in Louisiana, and you could see the relief on the people on the contestants when Trump was not going to show up. Here, watch this.
We saw that Donald Trump announced on Twitter he would not be here for the pageant tonight. How does that change things for you?
I knew it was going to be good. I just
change things for you.
I knew it was going to be good. I just knew it was going to be good.
Trump announced on Twitter he would not be here for the pageant tonight. How does that change things for you?
I knew it was going to be good. I just knew it was going to be good.
On the people, on the contestants, when Trump was not going to show up. Here, watch this.
We saw that Donald Trump announced on Twitter he would not be here for the pageant tonight. How does that change things for you?
I knew it was going to be good. I just knew it was going to be good.
Is she still alive? Did she get in trouble?
Changes anything as far as the pageant goes tonight, or as far as the brand of the pageant tonight?
As I said 2 or 3 weeks ago, this pageant is an opportunity to be about the women and the city, and that's what we're focusing on. And you know what? It's good for us that we're just focusing full steam ahead. It hasn't really changed because that's all we've been doing for the last few days. And I know that there's a big campaign going on out west, and we're focusing here in
Right.
Louisiana.
I mean, we also have Donald Trump talking about how this was when Lindsay Lohan was 17 years old. She may have just been turning 18, or she may have been 17 years old. Lindsay Lohan, the actress. Donald Trump said that she's very disturbed, mentally ill, and he says he loves to have sex with mentally ill people. He goes, they're the best in bed when they have mental illness. He said.
Let me go back, y'all. I'm gonna go back.
Over the last year, and Alicia has done an incredible job. She really has turned out to be one of the great Miss Universes, I will say. And she had a little problem during the middle where she gained a little weight.
I don't think so.
Yeah, she's probably right.
I don't think so.
Okay. And so let's talk about that debate, because it's interesting. The viewers are going to make a decision today, and they're going to vote in one way or the other. Alicia, do you think that should matter? Because after all, you were voted in.
Alicia, they need to check and see if these young ladies are still
I am the
alive.
most beautiful woman in the world.
I certainly don't
With
doubt
20 pounds or no pounds, I am the most beautiful woman in the world.
Do you not think that it's important to maintain a certain look during that year?
Yes, of course, but I think all women in the world have a problem with the weight.
Right.
And I think maybe I had some problem with this, but I'm fine now, and I think 15 pounds is nothing with 20 years old. And I think the most important for the next Miss Universe, and then is no more dinners, no more lunch, no more breakfast, and no more when you travel, diplomatic dinners and parties.
I think what Donald's talking about, and I think most people agree, that there is a look to Miss
And
Universe.
more time for go to the gym. It's very important because when you are Miss Universe,
stay
you
out
don't
my
have time
room.
for nothing.
Right. Donald, how do you think that
She must have turned him
this
down.
Miss Universe will be different from the others? Well, I don't know that it's going to be different. We have many beautiful women, and it's actually incredible. I was over there today, and the women are magnificent. And so I don't think it's going to be different. It's going to be more of the same.
And just to make you remember too, or have you remember, the first time Donald Trump ran, right, when the statements came out where he said grab women by their vaginas, and when you're rich you get away with it. Remember, he said he grabbed them he used the P word. He then didn't attend the beauty pageant in Louisiana, and you could see the relief on the people on the contestants when Trump was not going to show up. Here, watch this.
The government is banning these $29 adaptive glasses next month, and this is your last shot to get the original military-grade version.
We saw that Donald Trump announced on Twitter he would not be here for the pageant tonight. How does that change things for you guys?
Y'all know she got in trouble.
And I'm sorry, something interrupted me.
I'm wondering if that changes anything as far as the pageant goes tonight, or as far as the brand of the pageant tonight.
You know, as I said 2 or 3 weeks ago, this pageant is an opportunity to be about the women and the city, and that's what we're focusing on. And you know what? It's good for us that we're just focusing full steam ahead. It hasn't really changed because that's all we've been doing for the last few days. And I know that there's a big campaign going on out west, and we're focusing here in Louisiana.
I mean, we also have Donald Trump talking about how this was when Lindsay Lohan was 17 years old. She may have just been turning 18, or she may have been 17 years old. Lindsay Lohan, the actress. Donald Trump said that she's very disturbed, mentally ill, and he says he loves to have sex with mentally ill people. He goes, they're the best in bed when they have mental illness, he said. This is what he bragged about. And I think she was 17 here. She may have been 18, but she was very young. Let's play this clip.
Yes, but you have to like freckles. I've seen a close-up of her chest. Yes. And a lot of freckles. Are you into freckles? If the father's a wreck, like the way he is. Right. You imagine the sex with this troubled? Yeah, you're probably right. She's probably deeply troubled and therefore great in bed. Back in the day. How come the deeply troubled women? Yes. Deeply troubled. Right. They're always the best in bed.
And then Donald Trump talked about how attractive he thought Paris Hilton was when she was 12 years old. Again, just pulling out the receipts, things that he said. Play this clip.
I've known Paris Hilton from the time she's 12. She's hot. Her parents are friends of mine, and the first time I saw her, she walked into the room and said, "Who the hell is that?" Did you want to bang her?
She is well, at 12 I wasn't interested. I've never been into that.
Right.
They've sort of always stuck around that 25 category.
But even at 12, you
Nah.
I saw at 12 she was beautiful. But honestly, Paris gets knocked and this and that. But she's very beautiful. Is she dumb? Flawless. She's dumb like a fox.
Have you seen the
She
video,
dumb
the
like a
sex
what?
video?
I have seen it.
You did. What'd you do? You went on the internet?
It was just
How did you see that?
Who the hell is that?
If he thought Paris Hilton was when she was 12 years old. Again, just pulling out the receipts, things that he said. Play this clip.
I've known Paris Hilton from the time she's 12.
She's hot.
Her parents are friends of mine, and the first time I saw her, she walked into the room, I said, "Who the hell is that?"
Did you want to bang her?
She is well, at 12 I wasn't interested. I've never been into that.
Right.
And
They've
she
sort of
she
always
and
stuck
let's
around
be
that
clear.
25 category.
She got pulled in. Her parents, I guess, allowed him to do whatever because she got pulled into the Epstein files, and she introduced
This clip.
I've known Paris
Kim Kardashian. Kim Kardashian said that it was Paris Hilton who took her to those parties.
From the time she's 12.
She's hot.
Her parents are friends of mine, and the first time I saw her, she walked into the room, I said, "Who the hell is that?"
Did you want to bang her?
She is well, at 12 I wasn't interested. I've never been into that.
Right.
They've sort of always stuck around that 25 category.
But even at 12, you were kind of
No,
like,
but
wow,
I
she's hot.
saw at 12 she was beautiful. But honestly, Paris gets knocked and this and that. But she's very beautiful.
Is she dumb?
Flawless. She's dumb like a fox.
Have you seen the
Wow.
video, the sex video?
I have seen it.
You did. What'd you do? You went on the internet?
It was just
How did you see that? What did you do?
Melania showed it to me.
She did?
She showed it to me.
What did you think of that?
I think it's probably unfortunate, and perhaps it made.
Would you be happy
Melania
to stay where
showed
you
it to
are
him.
in life and job forever? If the answer is yes, then this video is not for you.
And this was the speech that Donald Trump gave, I think it was either 2023 or 2024, maybe 2023. But it was in front of the young Republicans of New York. So these were high school Republicans and college Republicans. So 16, 17, 18 through about 21, maybe some older, but the young Republicans, right? And then Trump said that when he called sexually assaulting women locker room talk, that was the most courageous act of his life. He said that was when he showed the most courage. This is what he said in his own words. I mean, I'm not paraphrasing it. Just listen, listen to it for yourself. Here, play this clip.
But I went onto that stage just a few days later, and a general who's a fantastic general actually said to me, "Sir, I've been on the battlefield. Men have gone down on my left and on my right. I stood on hills where soldiers were killed. But I believe the bravest thing I've ever seen was the night you went onto that stage with Hillary Clinton after what happened. And then that woman asked you the first question about it. And I said, locker room talk. It's locker room talk. What the hell? What are you talking? Locker room talk." That was not a great.
And here's the video where Donald Trump was speaking at a high school.
He said,
and
as
at
a
the
general.
high school,
And I said, locker room talk. It's locker room talk. What? Clinton, after what happened. And then that woman asked you the first question about it. And I said, locker room talk. It's locker room talk. What the hell? What are you talking? Locker room talk. That was not a great.
And here's the video where Donald Trump was speaking at a high school. And at the high school, he talked about being peed on or being urinated on by hookers. And he goes, I don't like that. He goes, they call it golden showers. I don't like those, he said. Here, play this clip.
He was with 4 hookers. You think that was good that night to go up and tell my wife, it's not true, darling, I love you very much? It's not true. Actually, that one she didn't believe because she said he's a germaphobe. He's not into that, He's not into golden showers, as they say they call them. He's not.
This was at a high school. You lying. This man is sick.
I love you very much. It's not true. Actually, that one she didn't believe because she said he's a germaphobe. He's not into that, He's not into golden showers, as they say they call them. He's not. I don't like that idea. No, I didn't. I thought that would be a big problem. I was going to have a rough night. It was good that night to go up and tell my wife, it's not true, darling. I love you very much. It's not true. Actually, that one she didn't believe because she said he's a germaphobe. He's not into that, you know? He's not into golden showers, as they say they call them.
You went up to steaks up?
I don't like that idea. No, I didn't. I thought that would be a big
But
problem.
he like
I was
a
gonna
good
have
steak,
rough
though.
night, but that one she was very good on. She said, no.
Right? I mean, some real deranged, grotesque behavior. You have those receipts. You see why the regime is angry at us for showing you those receipts. But judge for yourself. And do me a favor. As I said, this channel is so close to 6 million.
Okay, let's go to the next one. Hold on. So, please come in hitting the like button. What is this one? Let's hear about his ex-wife. Let's see what this one
There's a
is about.
simple way to protect your privacy online and get full access to worldwide content.
Where she allegedly fell down. It gets darker, it gets deeper. Let's dig into Donald Trump's marriage to his first wife, Ivana Trump, her very mysterious death in 2022, where she allegedly fell down steps at her Manhattan apartment. Let's talk about her potential KGB ties through her fell down steps at her Manhattan. It gets darker, it gets deeper. Let's dig into Donald Trump's marriage to his first wife, Ivana Trump, her very mysterious.
Okay, y'all, I need for y'all to hit the like button. Double tap the face of the phone. Thank you, Naturally New Orleans. Thank you so very much. I greatly appreciate your support and helping me reach the goals at first hour. Great, great, great. Thank you. Y'all, we're 52 minutes in. I need for y'all to double tap the face of your phone or hit those 3 dots at the top corner right. Please. Ooh. The grave on the golf course. Did she fall or was she pushed? That's the question. They need to check off into that.
In 2022, where she allegedly fell down steps at her Manhattan apartment. Fell down steps at her Manhattan apartment. Let's talk about her potential KGB ties through her father, who seemed to be part of the secret police in Czechoslovakia, who was providing information about Donald Trump to the KGB. Let's talk about the trip that Donald Trump and Ivana took that was sponsored by the KGB to Russia in 1987. Let's talk about what Ivana says that Donald Trump did to her. She says that Donald Trump raped her. She then retracted the statement partially in connection with a book that was published, and but it was after she gave deposition testimony about it, and especially everything we know that's in the Epstein files about Epstein's connections to Russia, being reported that Epstein was a banker for Vladimir Putin. Epstein speaking to people like the former Prime Minister of Norway about meeting with Sergei Lavrov and others to provide information about Donald Trump to Putin and others in Russia. The statements that are in lots of these emails and message that seem to indicate that there was lots of murder and death in addition to the child sex trafficking ring taking place, and torture and all these horrible things. When you start reading these files that we've been covering, I think it's important that we just rip the Band-Aid off and talk about this. And I think it's important we talk about from the outset as well where Ivana Trump is buried. That Donald Trump's first wife is buried in the back lot of Bedminster. And apparently this gives Donald Trump tax breaks by having his first wife buried there, because he could claim that Bedminster is actually a cemetery, and then he gets Bedminster is actually a cemetery, and then he apparently this gives Donald Trump tax breaks by having his first wife buried there, because he could claim that Bedminster is actually a cemetery, and then he gets cemetery tax credits, so he doesn't have to pay taxes out of Bedminster, which is absolutely ghoulish. And then the Trump family, at least for a significant period of time, is basically
Let's
threw
be
Ivana in, like,
clear.
the back.
Let's be clear. It's more than Ivana buried out there. I mean, it may be the only one they talk about, but word on the street is a whole bunch of folk, kids, babies, minors, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen out there. Whole bunch of them.
And then the Trump family, at least for a significant period of time, is basically threw Ivana in, like, the back lot area of, like, the golf course. Claim that Bedminster is actually a cemetery, and then he gets cemetery tax credits, so he doesn't have to pay taxes out of Bedminster, which is absolutely ghoulish. And then the Trump family, at least for a significant period of time, is basically threw Ivana in, like, the back lot area of, like, the golf course, like, where, like, in the rubbish area, and they let the grass grow over it. They didn't provide any type of proper grave, like, real disgusting stuff. The Daily Mail, remember, published photos of what went down. We will talk briefly about the marriage. Donald Trump and Ivana were married for 15 years, April 1977 to December 1990. Ivana was born in Czechoslovakia, and then Donald Trump had an affair with Marla Maples. It became public right around 1989, 1990. That's when Donald Trump and Ivana got divorced ultimately in 1990. They entered into a $14 million settlement. Ivana Trump dies July 14, 2022, at the age of 73. She's being filmed and she looks fine, and she talks about her life and how happy she is. The New York City Office of the Chief Medical Examiner determined that the cause of her death was blunt impact injuries to
Big
the
hair
torso
don't care.
resulting from a purported accidental fall
Big
down
hair
the
don't
stairs
care.
in her Manhattan apartment. And again, I don't want you to think I'm suggesting anything here.
I'm
And again,
suggesting
I'm
it.
entitled to my First Amendment opinion speech. I'm simply going to say a lot of people in Russia die that way. They mysteriously fall off of balconies or fall down steps or things
fall
like
over
this.
the boat.
Especially as we've been reading the ghoulish and horrific and grotesque and criminal and all these horrible things in the Epstein files. I think it's important to talk
Falling
about
off
this
the
book that was written and that features this horrific incident between Donald Trump and Ivana. The book is called The Last Tycoon, The Many Lives of Donald Trump. And this is an incident that it talks about in the book between Donald Trump and Ivana. Let me just read it for you. This was while they were married. Ivana said this during a deposition. The book published it. It's graphic. I want to warn you in advance. Trigger warning. Let me just read what Ivana said in her deposition. Ivana Trump was relaxing in the master bedroom of the Trump Tower Triplex, thinking about the trip she will be going to take to Tahiti. The trip will not just be for a vacation. It has to do with Donald's business. Lauren Etes, the widow of the late Trump Gaming Division executive, will not just be for a vacation. It has to do with Donald's business. Lauren Etes, The widow of the late Trump gaming division executive Mark Etes will be going with her. Ivana has been hoping the trip will help them get over the tragedy of the helicopter crash. Suddenly, according to Ivana, the Donald storms into the room. He's looking very angry and he's cursing out loud. "Your fucking doctor has ruined me," he screams. The Donald flings Ivana down onto the bed. Then he pins back her arms and grabs her by the hair. The part of her head he is grabbing corresponds to the spot on his head where his scalp reduction operation has been done. The Donald starts ripping out Ivana's hair by the handful, as if he's trying to make her feel the same kind of pain that he is feeling. Ivana starts crying and screaming. The entire bed is being covered with strands of her golden locks, but the Donald does not finish. He rips off her clothes, unzips his pants. Deposition. The book published it. It's graphic. I want to warn you in advance. Trigger warning. Let me just read what Ivana said in her deposition. Ivana Trump was relaxing in the master bedroom of the Trump Tower.
Yeah, let me pause. It's a trigger warning. Trigger warning, just in case. I'd like to put that out there. Give you a moment to exit if you're going to be triggered by it, the trauma, hearing abuse, or what you may perceive as abuse. You know, go ahead and step away. Come back in a little bit. Excuse me, but step away.
Ivana Trump was relaxing in the master bedroom of the Trump Tower. Triple X thinking about the trip she will be going to take to Tahiti. The trip will not just be for a vacation. It has to do with Donald's business. Lauren Etes, the widow of the late Trump gaming division executive Mark Etes, will be going with her. Ivana has been hoping the trip will help them get over the tragedy of the helicopter crash. Suddenly, according to Ivana, the Donald storms into the room. He's looking very angry and he's cursing out loud. "Your fucking doctor has ruined me," he screams. The Donald flings Ivana down onto the bed. Then he pins back her arms and grabs her by the hair. The part of her head he is grabbing corresponds to the spot on his head where his scalp reduction operation has been done. The Donald starts ripping out Ivana's hair by the handful, as if he's trying to make her feel the same kind of pain that he is feeling. Ivana starts crying and screaming. The entire bed is being covered with strands of her golden locks, but the Donald does not finish. He rips off her clothes, unzips his pants, then he jams his penis inside her. For the first time in more than 16 months, Ivana is terrified. This is not lovemaking. This is not romantic. It is a violent assault. She later describes what the Donald is doing to her in no uncertain terms. According to the version she repeats to some of her closest confidants, "He raped me." When the Donald finally pulls out, Ivana jumps up from her bed. Then she runs upstairs to her mother's room. She locks the door and stays there crying for the rest of the night. The next morning, Ivana musters up the courage to return to the master bedroom. The Donald is there waiting for her. He leaves no doubt that he knows exactly what he did to her the night before. As she looks in horror at the ripped out hair scattered all over the bed, he glares at her and asks with a menacing casualness, "Does it hurt?" Then the author goes on to say, on April 7th, 1993, when the first printing of The Last Tycoon was awaiting shipment, the publisher, who had met with Donald Trump and his lawyers on March 3rd, received the following communication from Donald Trump's lawyers. "The statement by Ivana Trump does not contradict or invalidate any information contained in this book, and it is included here only to give full expression to differing viewpoints on an important event." And then here's the statement from Ivana Trump. "During a deposition given by me in connection with my matrimonial case, I stated that my husband had raped me. I wish to say that on one occasion, during 1989, Mr. Trump and I had marital relations in which he behaved very differently toward me than he had during our marriage. As a woman, I felt violated, as the love and tenderness which he normally exhibited toward me was absent. I refer to this as rape, but I don't want my words to be interpreted in a literal or criminal sense. Any contrary conclusion would be an incorrect and most unfortunate interpretation of my statement, which I do not want to be interpreted in a speculative fashion, and I do not want the press or media to misconstrue anything that I said."
Well,
and she goes
did
on
she
to
say the
"Please
R
click this statement."
word?
And this was her retraction of what she said. This book, by the way, was written by Harry Hurt III. If you want to read the full thing, I want to read this for you as well. This was an article back in 2019 from the Daily Beast. The family that worked for Jeffrey Epstein and Trump. Jeffrey Epstein and President Trump's first ex-wife, Ivana, moved in the same glittering Palm Beach social circles and hired members of the same family as employees. Epstein and the Trumps didn't just share the same rarefied air of Palm Beach society. The multimillionaire sex offender and at least one member of the Trump clan hired employees from the same family too. While Janice Bansiak served as Epstein's Palm Beach house manager, his wife and stepdaughter snagged jobs with another famous face in town, President Trump's former wife Ivana, the Daily Beast learned. As Epstein's butler for more than a decade, Banasiak testified that he lived in a staff house attached to the financier's waterfront property, answered the door for girls who gave Epstein massages, and kept wads of cash to hand them on their way out. His spouse, Radhika Bansiak, is linked to Epstein's El Brio Way mansion through addresses of her driver's license and previous voter registration records. Ophelia found long-term employment working for Ivana Trump until the socialite sold her Palm Beach home in 2014. That year, Ophelia's 25-year-old daughter, a law student at Columbia University, also landed a summer job with Ivana too. An online resume for the daughter, which was found on a website, includes a job with Mrs. Ivana Trump from May 14, 2014 to July of 2014. I want to remind you all as well that Donald Trump and Ivana took a trip together to Russia, as I said at the outset, in 1987. And regarding these issues of potential spying that was taking place, let me just share this with you. Czechoslovakia ramped up spying on Trump in the late 1980s, seeking U.S. intel. Aided by Ivana Trump's father, intelligence services with KGB ties targeted high-level government officials. The Communist Intelligence Service in Prague stepped up its spying campaign against Trump in the late 1980s, targeting him to gain information about the upper echelons of U.S. government. Archival files and testimony from former Cold War
US
spies
government
revealed Czechoslovakia's STB carried out a long-term spying mission against Trump following his marriage in 1977 to Ivana. The operation was run out of a provincial town in Czechoslovakia where she was born and grew up. Her father, Milo Zelnicki, gave regular information to the local STB office about his daughter's visit from the U.S. and on his celebrity son-in-law's career in New York. Zelnick was classified as a conspiratorial informer. His relationship with STB lasted until the end of the communist regime. Trump was, of course, a very interesting person for us. He was a businessman. He had a lot of contacts, even in U.S. politics. We were focusing on him when we knew he was influential. We had information that he wanted to be a president in the future, was what former KGB-related people were saying about Donald Trump then. So they were clearly monitoring him back then. And then FBI, Bloomberg got this, Jason Leopold, great reporter. FBI releases secret files on Ivana Trump. This is May 2023, and it talks about these links as well. And of course, there was that 1987 trip that I mentioned before. Let me get us more data points here as...
Hey, y'all, it's 213 people in listening to this reaction video. Can I get y'all to hit the like button for me? Hit those 3 dots at the top right corner, or double tap the face of your screen. Just double tap or hit the 3 dots at the top right. Up there by the little girl that looks like Pam Bondi when she was little. On TV. Oh, I wasn't supposed to say that. Y'all don't think she favors Pam Bondi? Look, they look like Pam Bondi. I thought it was the other girl in the back, but when I looked at that bridge right here, I'm trying to point to it. Look at that thing on her. Why her? You know that between her eyes, you know, Pam Bundy's look thick. It look like that's where they made her a reptilian at. She got that same bridge thing right there. Yeah, hit the like button. Double tap. Y'all know Pam Bundy, there's a good chance that she was in that cult. May have been a victim. Yeah, she looked like Pam Bundy. I forgot I turned it around. Mm-hmm. Is that Pam Bundy on that plane? Is it gonna let me show y'all? Yeah, by that no. You won't even let me show y'all. But anyway, it look like Pam Bundy to me.
Well, I want to share this with you. Let's pull this open. This was from 2017. Here's what Ivana Trump had to say, just so you get a sense of. This was in a few years before she died by allegedly rolling down the stairs. Let's play this clip right here.
Do you miss the old life?
I understand that.
The old life? Life with
But I
Donald?
had to make
I
it
don't.
look
No.
good for
Nothing
the
really
taxi.
changed. I have a beautiful home here. I have a spectacular apartment in Miami. I have a 300-year-old fisherman houses in harbor of the Saint-Tropez. What more can I have?
This was Donald Trump and Ivana
Ooh, she was heavy on the makeup,
Oprah. You
wasn't she?
can listen to this for yourself.
Do you all argue?
Yes, but not greatly. I'll tell you truthfully, we don't have tremendous fights. We should have world record-setting fights, but we really don't. We get along very well, and there's not a lot of disagreement because ultimately Ivana
she
does
said, yeah.
exactly as I tell her to do.
See, wait a minute.
Mayor chauvinist.
Right, men? Is that right?
This is what she had to say. This is what Ivana had to say after the divorce. Just showing you some clips of her right here.
But she didn't just lose her husband. In the same year, Ivana lost the other most important man in her life when her father died suddenly of a heart attack.
I was a little bit numb, and maybe that helped me also when my father passed away, because it just cannot get any worse. It just has to get better.
You say in the book you thought the divorce perhaps contributed to your father's heart condition.
I just know that my father was devastated, and my father was humiliated because I was his pride and joy in his life. I know that he took it very hard. It's just unfortunate it did happen at a time when I did need him most.
How did you compensate for that, Ivana?
You don't.
As for her ex, Donald's new life
so she
now
was trying to
includes
leave.
Marla, baby
Thank you,
Tiffany,
Purple Flower.
and reflection on why it is not a good idea to put your wife to work for you. When I interviewed him last
So
year,
she was trying to
Donald
leave
said
him,
he regretted
and
having
he
had
pushed her.
Has to get better.
You say in the book you thought the divorce perhaps contributed to your father's heart condition.
I just know that my father was devastated, and my father was humiliated because I was his pride and joy in his life. I know that he took it very hard. It's just unfortunate it did happen at a time when I did need him most.
How did you compensate for that, Ivana?
You don't.
As for her ex, Donald's new life now includes Marla, baby Tiffany, and reflection on why it is not a good idea to put your wife to work for you. When I interviewed him last year, Donald said he regretted having had Ivana run his Atlantic City casinos and the Plaza Hotel.
I think that was the single greatest cause of what happened to my marriage with Ivana.
If I look at it now, I think it was a terrible idea.
Ivana would get angry at somebody over the telephone all of a sudden who was at the casino. And she'd start shouting. And I'd say, I don't want my wife shouting at somebody like that.
Well, if you go into work and if you have 4,500 employees and the vice president, you cannot be little pussycat.
There was a great softness to Ivana, and she still has that softness. But during this period of time, she became an executive, not a wife.
Suddenly the whole romance and how evening goes, because you're talking business and you're talking what has to be done and repaired and this, rather than being romantic with each other.
What I do find notable as well is what one of the victims, survivors, what Maria Farmer, who came forward, had to say about Donald Trump. And, and Maria Farmer had to say about Ivana Trump being Ghislaine's best friend. And it's notable because Melania was then friends with Ghislaine. Remember G, Sweet Pea, that they called each other. Here's what Maria Farmer had to say about Ivana Trump being best friends with Ghislaine at this time as well.
I guess that would be why. I mean, so she was like family. So I guess that's why he snuck her out of a Bryan, Texas prison. Because, baby, she is most definitely not in there. She has been set free, and they have a decoy in there. Let's be absolutely clear. This woman right here at the top is not Ghislaine Maxwell. That nose is not that nose. That mouth is not her mouth. Ghislaine Maxwell have been switched. Okay? Spread the word.
Ivana Trump was like her best friend.
And with
Ivana.
Yeah, with Ivana, then, yeah, I described that, you know, she'd be there, how
That
often?
was creepy. So at the time, Ivana had this, she was doing QVC, selling jewelry, right, online. I mean, on TV. She was like a QVC queen. It's Donald Trump. And Donald Trump was always hanging out with Epstein, and Ivana was always hanging out with Ghislaine.
Right.
And Ivana would say, "We're going to go pick up Ivana, or Ivana's going to come," and we'd ride in the car with her. And I remember one occasion where Ghislaine's like, "I have to get out right now," and she went and got a number from a child. And she would say, "We're going to go pick up Ivana, or Ivana's going to come," and we'd ride in the car with her. And I remember one occasion where Ghislaine's like, "I have to get out right now," and she went and got a number from a child. And in a uniform.
Yeah. And
everybody knew what they were doing. Everybody who surrounded them knew exactly what they were doing.
And but how often? Did you go for rides often with her and Ivana? Or,
yes.
And would she pick up girls all the time?
Yes. She didn't bring them in the car. She would get their phone numbers.
Right.
But she would drive by schools.
Right. So
as they got out.
So would she? Yeah. And what's Ivana doing at this point? What? What are they?
Sitting in the car. And I'll never forget, because one day I was really weirded out by what had happened. I was really weirded out. So I'm sorry, my phone's beeping in, just give it a second. But anyway, I've got to go in a second, but I just wanted to tell you, I was weirded out when they were driving around with this. So Ghislaine to shut me up, gave me one of those cheap bracelets Ivana was selling on QVC, and said, "Ivana wants you to have this." And I threw it in the garbage.
It's notable. And then you have this clip as well of Maria Farmer, one of Epstein's victims, about an incident where she was in Epstein's office building. Let's play this clip right here, right now.
The time that is most memorable to me is the time when he hit on me. Because I was in the office. It was one of the first times I started working for Donald Trump's a sleazebag. Okay.
Yes.
It was when I started working for Epstein, and it was 9 o'clock at night. And Jeffrey Epstein's office is totally empty. And I told the New York Times this, but of course they don't tell the whole thing, right? Even though Mike Baker is amazing, but they would not allow him to tell the truth. Right. So basically, I go into this office. It's 9 o'clock at night, and I sit down. And a few minutes later, and I'm wearing running clothes. Okay, so it was really weird. It's 9 o'clock at night, and I'm wearing running clothes because I didn't have money, so I had to jog up there.
Right.
And so I've struggled, for so long. So I'm like up there in the office, seated, and I've got my, my running clothes on, so my legs are showing. And in walks this man that, when I reported into the FBI, said that game show host, Donald Trump, because I thought he was a game show host.
Yeah.
He's so cheesy, But anyway, so I said, I said hello to, he walks in, and I just kind of acknowledged him like a head nod or something. Yeah. And he immediately starts, he's standing across the room from me, and I'm seated, and he's like, "Oh, Maria," no, he didn't, sorry, I was just looking at something. He's standing across the room, and he's looking at me, And I'm like, oh, gross. You know, this guy's so gross. Anyway, he's just glaring at my legs. Like, yum. I told my sister, I felt like I was his dinner or his lunch, you know?
Yeah.
The way he was looking at me. So Epstein comes in. And by the way, I did not look good. I was like, I'm not exceptionally beautiful or anything like that. These are just gross people. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I'm just like a normal person who went on a run, and I'm seated there. So he assumed I was there for him. And this is how I know. Epstein walks up to him and he goes, no, she's not here for you. And they were smirking, and Epstein whispered something. He goes, go in there.
Oh, so that's her.
And so Trump at 9 o'clock at night goes in the other room. If there's someone in there for him.
Right.
I don't know who, but Epstein said, no, she's not here for you.
So you can make the connections as well for yourself, but I think especially in light of everything
Oh,
we've
wow.
seen, the Epstein files, all of this is, I think, very, very notable. And you just tell me what you think right there.
Okay, y'all ready for some more? Hit the like button. It's more where that came from. Hold on. Oh, it's hot today. It is hot today. Hold on. Let me see what I got. But I need for y'all to hit the like button. It's 303 people in here. Oh, yeah. There's 303 people in here. Only 61 likes. Hi, Randall. I need for y'all to hit the like button. Double tap. I want y'all to listen to this. I'm finna go into this. Oh, I got it in my ear. Oh, wow. Let me Bluetooth it.
Yeah, bro, you ever heard about the Jewish?
Y'all want to hit the like button?
Yeah, bro, you ever heard about the Jewish tunnels in New York? That's where they traffic kids at, where they go down there and have relations with kids. There's mattresses down there, kids' clothes, kids' shoes.
But that's a theory, probably. That's not,
No, it's all gonna be.
I need for y'all to hit the like button.
It's not a theory. It's true.
Have y'all heard about that?
Kanye was talking about it. But,
Kanye was talking about it.
down there and have. Yeah, bro, you ever heard about the Jewish tunnels in New York?
Thank you for the bronze medal.
That's where they traffic kids at, where they go down there and have relations with kids. There's mattresses down there, kids' clothes, kids' shoes.
But that's a theory, probably. That's not,
No, it's all on video. It's not a theory. It's true. Kanye was talking about it, but motherfuckers was like, Jewish tunnels. That motherfucker sound crazy.
A year or two later, they find Jew. They find.
Y'all ready to get in there? No, not by the likes. Hit the like button. Let me see where. Help me reach my goal this hour. We trying to get in where we fit in. We trying to get to. Oh, I've already talked about it. All I saw was John Bonet. I've already talked about that. Have you heard about the connection between Erica Kirk and I think the connection really is Ghislaine Maxwell was the talent scout for Disney. I think they both were groomers, but as far as if you're talking about her being Janine Benet being Erica Kirk, I don't think so. The math ain't mathing right. But yeah, I've done the research on it. By the time they try and prosecute, all of them will be gone. Yeah, but recently, I think in 2025, the dad reached out to Trump. I thought that was very interesting. But yeah, so if that's the part of it that you're talking about, yeah, I've heard that, but I did the math. I mean, they're close in age, but I mean, unless they adopted her and changed the age or did that or whatever, that crooked adoption. But Ghislaine Maxwell is definitely involved. And Jeffrey Epstein.
Yeah, bro, you ever heard about the Jewish tunnels in New York?
I need y'all to get the lights
That's where
up.
they traffic kids at. Or they go down there and have relationships with kids. There's mattresses down there, kids' clothes, kids' shoes.
That's a theory, probably. That's not, you know.
No, it's all on video. It's not a theory. It's true. Kanye was talking about it, but motherfuckers was like, Jewish tunnels. That motherfucker sound crazy.
A year or two later, they find Jewish tunnels inside of New York.
Nobody hit the like button.
Smoke his ass then?
He keep leaving. He keep going to Japan.
I got about the country,
Why would they
right?
smoke him?
I'm back in Japan, one of my homes, because they started getting around people and getting people to say, oh, he needs to go to the hospital.
They try to suppress, like that day I was telling y'all about that rabbi, how to get rid of circumcision. You couldn't find that shit on the internet. I had to like dig deep and look for that shit. You couldn't find that article on CNN. You couldn't find it on the Washington Post. I had to like go to an independent journalist to even pull up that article. Yeah, bro, you ever heard about the Jewish tunnels in New York?
Mm-hmm. Y'all ready to go there? Let me see. Once y'all start hitting the like button, I'll start. I'm an hour and 26 minutes in. Once this stuff is all said and done, we're going to need to have a come to Jesus meeting.
There are lots of VPNs out there.
We're going to have to
at all
start
different
having
price
church.
points. Many of them are even free. So, should you
tunnel to be destroyed? When construction workers showed up, members
Is that a tunnel?
secret tunnels through the synagogue. A riot broke out in a historic Brooklyn
satanic
synagogue on Monday, when a group of
Zionist.
Orthodox men tried to stop police and construction crews
original
from
one.
filling in a secret tunnel they allegedly illegally dug to reach a closed-down women's bath, per the New York Post.
A closed down women's bath. What in the world? Is he coming out the ground? Is he coming out the ground? Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. He is coming out of the ground. A whole secret tunnel. See, that's what that barricade, that bunkers, the White House was going to be. It was going to be used for trafficking at the White House. That's just how, look at it. It almost looked like How he squeezing through there? How is he squeezing through there? Is this? Hold up, y'all. Is it moving? Am I tripping? Do it look like he shouldn't be able to squeeze through there? It must not be metal. How in the world is this man squeezing through? Something ain't right, y'all.
Secret tunnels through the synagogue? A riot broke out in a historic Brooklyn synagogue on Monday when a group of Orthodox men tried to stop police and construction crews from filling in a secret tunnel they allegedly illegally dug to reach a closed-down women's bath, per the New York Post. Members of the Chabad Lubavitch movement have allegedly been digging a tunnel under the Crown Heights synagogue for almost a year, designed to reach an abandoned mikvah, or ritual bath, for women and expand the synagogue. That's according to reporting from Forward. Now, dozens appeared to protest the arrival of a cement truck, which a Chabad spokesperson, Rabbi Monty Silickson, said was there to repair the wall after a, quote, unauthorized passageway had been built connecting the sanctuary to nearby buildings, allegedly including a local children's museum. According to the New York Post, neighbors complained about suspicious noises leading to the tunnel's discovery. Synagogue leadership ordered the tunnel to be destroyed, but when construction workers showed up, members of the movement made their way into the tunnel to prevent the construction, and a riot began. Here's some of those worshipers interacting with the police.
Now, 12 Hasidic men were arrested on Monday after breaking into the synagogue headquarters and allegedly damaging the synagogue underneath it, according to officials. 9 people are now facing charges.
I think it was the headline from the New York Post that maybe first attracted this story a lot of attention. The headline read, "Extremist Jewish teens secretly hired migrants to dig secret Brooklyn synagogue tunnel Shawshank style." It's a lot going on there.
Look, so this story has obviously attracted a lot of interest, largely because the visuals are just so extraordinary. I mean, any New Yorker is going to balk at the idea of a fully grown human being emerging from the sewer grate, kind of Ninja Turtle style. And I think that that imagery, as well as the confrontation with the police and the longer clip that we played, really sparked the imagination and just raised more questions than were answered. Why this tunnel? This tunnel was 60 feet long and 8 feet wide with a ceiling height of 5 feet. Apparently they've been working on it for at least a year. And I think even now, days into the story, a lot of questions remain about the why of the tunnel, the necessity of the tunnel. Initially, people were saying that it was a COVID era attempt to get around shutdowns. But if it's only been being built for about a year, it's unclear whether there were really any meaningful policies in place that would have precluded people from going wherever they wanted in New York City. And why the protest? Why the escalation? I mean, I understand. Okay, you shot your shot. You tried to build an illegal tunnel. The city found out about it, came to shut it down, came to fill it in. What was hoped to be gained by a direct confrontation with the police to defend one's eminent domain rights to the underground of New York City. And there was also some concern about whether or not the tunnel would imperil the structural integrity of the Chabad house, which apparently is of broader significance to the community.
Right, the synagogue itself wants the tunnel filled in. They own the space. I mean, Like, we got to have law and order. If they want it filled in, they get it that way. You know, I don't have any problem with the tunnel being taken care of, disposed of. I get what I'm gathering is that online there was a lot of reaction that was sort of anti-Semitic in nature. You know, a lot
they
of
go to
people saying
anti-Semitic. You don't let them have their way.
Significance to the community.
Right, the synagogue itself wants to.
Yeah, you don't let them. These
would imperil the structural integrity of the Chabad house, which apparently is of
I guess they call them gypsies.
Right, the synagogue itself wants the tunnel filled in.
Really
they own the
Jews.
space. I mean, like,
they've taken on somebody else's
they get it that way. You know,
territory.
I don't have any problem with the tunnel being taken care of, disposed of. I get what I'm gathering is that online there was a lot of reaction that was sort of anti-Semitic in nature. You know, a lot of people saying
anti-Semitic.
Jews hiding under the floorboards, trying to get at the children in the museum, trying to get at the women's bath. I saw. Andrew Tate, for instance, made a nasty comment about it. That sort of thing, with saying that, oh, here are you said there were, I think calling out Ben Shapiro, saying, oh, you said that the Hamas is in the tunnels, it's actually the Jews in the tunnels, that kind of thing. So that's all
not real.
Very unfortunate, but for the underlying, for the issue itself, I mean,
they 1948
to not have
Jews.
The synagogue doesn't want a tunnel there. You can't build an unauthorized tunnel on their property.
Yeah, I mean, look, there have been long-standing tensions between the Orthodox community in Brooklyn and other residents of Brooklyn for years.
Well, and the government authorities over the schools, right? That was happening in New York City, them saying the Hasidic educational environments were not up to the city standards. And there was, I remember reading and hearing from religious people thinking this was a religious freedom violation, that sort of thing.
You're right. So there was a big issue around bike lanes, that the Hasidic community didn't want the bike lanes going through their neighborhoods. There was an issue years ago, I believe in the 80s, maybe the 90s, where because there are specialized ambulances that service the community because of various rules about how people can interact on a gendered basis and stuff, that there was a non-Hasidic person that was injured. I believe they were black. Dispatched that were the Hasidic paramedics would not attend to that person, and they ended up dying, and that provoked a riot. There have been allegations of all kinds of intergroup misconduct, sexual misconduct, and the kinds of things that often happen whenever there is not a lot of outsider oversight and kind of seclusion of many, many groups. But as a consequence, I think there are a lot of stereotypes and negativity around how Hasidics are perceived in Brooklyn. And I do think the imagery of this event led a lot of people who might have anti-Semitic views about them lean into their ideological priors. However, that aside, it's hard not to look at the remarkable imagery of a full-grown, fully dressed human emerging from the sewer and want to know a lot more about how this happened. I'm really looking forward to seeing more pictures and photographs of exactly what kind of architectural feats were accomplished underneath this building before they were thwarted, and to hear more about what the kind of political divisions are that are apparently separating the tunnel diggers from the institutionalists who are trying to get it filled in.
I mean, I was ready to dig a tunnel out of my apartment during COVID, so again, I understand. And I think, you know who I think is really behind this?
Who?
The Dharma Initiative, which is another lost reference. You're going to have to watch this show. Next week, you can finish the whole thing. It's only like 120 episodes.
That doesn't feel like a next week project.
If you start it, you won't stop.
Are they hour-long episodes?
Yeah, if you start it, you won't stop.
No,
You'll do this all weekend.
I started watching Lost in college when it was happening, and I was watching with a friend who then got sick, and while he was home from class and I was at class, sped along without me, and that's how I fell behind. And so as a matter of principle, I kind of feel like I don't...
Tunnels. Hold on.
This is where
I talk about what I liked in my first box, if I hadn't already been using them since the beginning of the year.
Now, luckily, no injuries were reported from this brawl, believe it or not. But what the hell sparked it? What is behind the brawl in the first place? What got people so fired up? Well, it was all over the discovery of a tunnel and an attempt by authorities to fill it with cement. So you see a gentleman coming out of that tunnel. This isn't in the Middle East, guys. This is in Brooklyn. Okay, this is in Brooklyn. So the tunnel was discovered just last month when neighbors to the synagogue reported suspicious sounds coming underneath their homes. They're like, there's some stuff happening under our homes. We don't know what this is. So they reported to the authorities. At that point, the tunnel is discovered. They discovered it in late 2023 when a project to upgrade the building or the building's plumbing was underway. And so neighbors of the building reported suspicious noises under their homes. With the discovery of the tunnel, many began to fear that it was actually leading to, an unsafe structure, that there was going to be damage to their homes if they didn't do something about these underground tunnels under their homes. And by the way, the tunnel stretched under at least one other building. Now, following the discovery of the tunnel, authorities were called, and the authorities were there to basically fill the tunnel with concrete. And apparently that is what led to the brawl. And I want to be clear, there's been conflicting reporting on this story. When I was reading about it recently, there were claims that the tunnel was built specifically to skirt COVID orders that closed down religious buildings and that people wanted to continue worshiping, and so they needed a secret pathway or passageway into the synagogue. But I don't think that's really what's going on here.
Nope.
So why was the secret tunnel built in the first place?
A sin.
This is where it gets complicated.
A sin for all.
I'm pronouncing names correctly, but
not a synagogue. It's the sin for all. I was down there sinning. When I be having 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 kids on government assistance. Getting that welfare in. EBT for the neighborhood. Yeah. They're down underground getting it on. Let's get it on. Oh, baby. Yeah. While we paying for it. They don't build a whole little nest underground, bumping and grinding. Hard, obviously, because the neighbors was thinking some shit is about to explode. Down there. What in the world is going on? Underneath my house. Yeah. And they don't have no job. The women work. The men just make babies. Get government assistance. And we paying for it. And then what the other part of our money is going to Israel. And to the Zionist culture, the devil worshiping stuff. I just can't believe all of this is going on with our money, ours. And if we don't pay our taxes, they're going to penalize us. And we are working to pay for their sins. So now it's not a synagogue, it's a sin for all. Y'all please hit the like button, double tap the face of the phone, and hit those 3 dots at the top right. Thank you, Jesus, for dying on the cross for all of our sins. Praise God for the salvation. And God's children will be spared from even worse worldly evil when Jesus come back again. Amen. Amen. That's the only victory, is knowing that before it's over, God gives the victory. Devil don't win. That's the beauty of it all, is to know without a shadow of a doubt that whatever we have to go through, that God won't get the victory and he's going to win. The devil will be defeated. and all of his workers will burn in the lake of fire. And they don't just go to hell. There are levels to hell. We need to really understand that. When people saying that this is hell on earth, there is levels to hell. And so if you think this is it, make no mistake about it. You drop down a level. You don't step up. You don't go up. You go down levels. Yeah, so if this is hell, then you gonna go down to the lake of fire. Can you imagine that? Ooh. I remember when I first learned that was a little overwhelming for me. I'm hot natured, so I can't stand all that heat. I just can't, never have. And I knew long time ago hell was not my resting place. No, I can't stand Texas heat. What hell is hotter than Texas? Oh heck no. Yeah. But then to know that past hell it is a lake of fire. Yeah, no. Y'all better study thyself to show thyself approved and understand. For the ones who don't believe in Jesus Christ because they don't believe in his miracles, and it ain't possible. It ain't possible for you. It's possible for God. See the difference? Get out of you are God. You are the creator. You're not. It wasn't your masterpiece. You didn't create yourself for your own self-cause. God chose you for his purpose and his plan. See the difference? But I suggest to you, you better get your life in order. You better choose wisely and choose with a promise than to die without one and drop to the next level of hell. Okay, that's all I'm saying. Let's carry on.
Apparently, members of the Chabad Lubavitch movement have reportedly been
That's your
digging out a
opinion,
tunnel
Divine.
underneath
That ain't
Crown
mine.
Heights Synagogue for nearly
That ain't
a year.
what the Bible say.
The Jewish outlet Forward reported that it was apparently designed to reach an abandoned women's mikvah or ritual bath around the corner and expand the synagogue. Now, expand the synagogue is one of the reasons that you might find in the reporting on this story. And apparently the riots came amid ongoing disputes over who legally owns the property. So in a statement following the altercation, Chabad Lubavitcher Rabbi Moti Seligson noted that a sect of the Messianic Chassidim movement has attempted to gain proper control of the premises through the New York State court system. Unfortunately, despite consistently prevailing in court, the process has...
You know, it kills me when people want to try to take credit for something that they did not do. I mean, it just blows my mind that people want to make God's creation, his purpose and his plan about a race of people. You miss the point when you try to define it in such manner. You don't know who created what. You don't know because you're not God. We need to stop that. We need to stop that. We need to grow up and stop that.
Dragged on for years. And Israel National News also reported that authorities found that large underground tunnel in the main study hall, which several students claim to have dug in an attempt to expand the building. Now, people did get arrested for this. It is a confusing story. And to be quite frank, I am completely unclear over what the real reasons for this tunnel happen to be. Again, conflicting reports. But let's get to the arrest. So the synagogue leader, Rabbi Yosef Braun, urged
I can turn your wildest ideas into a song. Just describe it in a few words, choose a style, and let Mareka the Fifth Eight handle the rest.
Other members of the Jewish community to call them out in all possible ways and strong terms. Ron was horrified that they defaced the shul or synagogue, saying to demolish and destroy a shul, never mind the dangerous aspect, never mind the religious aspect, is mind-boggling. They need to be put in their place in so many meanings of the word, and at least a dozen men were taken into custody, according to the New York Post. 10 received criminal misdemeanor charges, another was charged with obstructing government administration, and one other received a summons for disorderly conduct, according to sources. So some are arguing that this was really about a property ownership dispute.
That's what they're
and
gonna
that,
use, of
there was an
course.
effort to expand the property, obviously illegally, and that when authorities were called to
Always
fill the
getting
tunnel
over.
with cement, the brawl broke out in response to that because they did not want the authorities to do it. So, Waz, as a New Yorker, you noted that there are, you're involved in some chats with people, lighting up messages with this. So, what do you think is behind it?
You know, man, I think people don't have a hard time understanding, especially because, like, I feel like a lot of Jewish-related issues have been in the news for a while now. There was, of course, the nonsense with Kanye West and his anti-Semitism, Kyrie Irving stuff in the NBA, that was, like, big in the news, and obviously the war that's happening on the Gaza Strip has been in the news since October 7th, and there's been a lot of stuff in there. And I think a lot of people don't understand that there's a diverse set of Jewish people, right?
Totally, yep.
There's like Jerry Seinfeld and Larry David, like very famous Jewish people who were, I guess pretty secular Jews, if you will. And then there's these ultra-Orthodox Hasidic Jews in Brooklyn. And if you...
I need for y'all to get the likes of, who's this dude? He's a guest that she has on here. She asked his opinion. I guess he was a part of, I don't know. I need to get the likes up though, please. I mean, she introduced him.
You're involved in some chats with people, lighting up messages with this. So what do you think is behind it?
You know, man, I think people don't have a hard time understanding, especially because, like, I feel like a lot of...
As a New Yorker, you noted in response to that because they did not want the authorities to do it. So, Waz, as a New Yorker, fill the tunnel with cement. The brawl broke out in response to that because they did not want the authorities to do it. So, Waz, as a New Yorker, you noted that there are, you're involved in some chats with people, lighting up messages with this. So, what do you think is behind it?
You know, man, I think people don't have a hard time understanding, especially because, like, I feel like a lot of Jewish-related issues have been in the news for a while now. There was, of course, the nonsense with Kanye West and his anti-Semitism, Kyrie Irving stuff in the NBA, that was, like, big in the news, and obviously the war that's happening on the Gaza Strip has been in the news since October 7th, and there's been a lot of stuff in there. And I think a lot of people don't understand that there's a diverse set of Jewish people, right?
Totally, yep.
There's like Jerry Seinfeld and Larry David, like very famous Jewish people who were, I guess pretty secular Jews, if you will. And then there's these ultra-Orthodox Hasidic Jews in Brooklyn. And if you have had any experience or contact with that sort of community in Brooklyn, oftentimes they can feel very hermetically sealed. It's almost like it's a city or a colony or a state within the state itself.
Like a
And oftentimes
takeover.
it feels like they play by different rules,
They
right?
do.
People will note that they have, public school buses and public schools that are strictly ran and attended to by.
The more you stay home, the less you want to leave.
So
And
they
the
just
more you
a
stay, the
takeover.
heavier
It's
everything
everywhere.
feels. You
That's
think
why they
you're
want to
Only Hasidic Jews.
create
Like,
their
there's
own
this
DNA.
idea that they're this extra legal group in the city, whether that's true or not, right? I don't know. I can't pretend to know the ins and outs of how they marry their, religious identity in the city of New York with, being part of a state, a city, whatever. I don't know the ins and outs of how that marries each other, but for people from the outside looking in, it's just like, bro, could you imagine anybody else making tunnels in New York City? Like, it's just
They're trying
not
to take
a
over the
thing that
world.
you could even think of. And so,
I can't
I
think
have a
of.
hard time believing that the NYPD can
Yeah, so
even.
last night I was watching something. I don't remember what I was watching. Oh, it was part 2 of the lady who was talking about the DNA. It was a part 2. Hold on. I need to go there right quick. It was part 2. And what she said, it was like, oh, wow. Because she said that they have, she was a Jeffrey Epstein survivor. And she was saying that they have I call them moles everywhere, in the schools, in the judicial, corporate. Hold on, let me get to it. As it attributes to what he is saying. Let me get to it. Give me a second. Yeah, she said they have someone in place everywhere. Not that one. It's that lady. Here we go. Now, this was the lady that was talking about how Jeffrey Epstein was changed her DNA.
So after 5 years old, then they pretty much set you in what your specific agenda or what they programmed you to do. So I was placed in Kentucky,
what they programmed you to do.
To cause division in churches and conferences. They were taking me all over the world, trafficking me and things like that. But I 5 years old, then they pretty much set you in what your specific agenda or what they programmed you to do. So I was placed in Kentucky in a small town specifically to cause division in churches and conferences. They were taking me all over the world, trafficking me and things like that. But I looked like a normal cheerleader. I was in gymnastics. I looked normal. I had good grades. But I was very suicidal and I was very depressed the entire time. But because it looked good, nobody ever asked any questions. I was being trafficked in the small Baptist church in the same town that I lived in.
Is this like sex trafficking?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was being trafficked in the church, being programmed by different people in the church and the school that I went to. So they have plants in every town and every city. Every church and every school. I'm not saying everybody is like this. I'm just saying they're in every, just like there's abusers in every walk of life. They have chosen to infiltrate every walk of life so that they can be in charge of what happens.
Everywhere.
Yes, exactly. The Holy Spirit wanted me to say this. Like,
everywhere.
I don't want people to be afraid. Because reality is a couple that helped me, they are better off now than they've ever been had I not been in their life. They're closer to the Lord now than they would have had I never been in their life. When somebody chooses to expose this, the Lord he always takes care of his children, but he doubles for their trouble. He really takes care of them, and they're amazing. They're great now. So he always exposes the evil of what's going on. But the reality is that that's going on. But if the church is equipped and aware, I think a lot of the infighting, I think a lot of the legalism, I think a lot of the weakness of the church would be eradicated, because they would know the target that's on them, and they would know to ask the Lord to expose things. They would know that the feeling that they get, like say they come across somebody and they have just a bad feeling about it, they would know that they're not being rude. They're actually listening to the Holy Spirit because they have the Holy Spirit within them. I think the church would be a lot more powerful. It would make a difference in rescuing so many people.
Well, them people don't want to rescue.
Make this video. This one's going to get me in trouble. I apologize because I'm probably going to make a lot of you guys really uncomfortable. But I think I've uncovered something that's so dark and so demonic, and it's been hidden right in front of our eyes this entire time.
Oh, it's a
But because
different
of the walls and layers of propaganda and our corrupted education system, we couldn't see it. It's almost like it's been deleted from history. But we're about to unpack the truth. So if you'll give me about 10 minutes of your time, I need to start with the education system. And then I'm going to show you
There go that
how
thing.
there's a group of individuals that every year they perform satanic ritual sacrifices, which involve sacrificing our little ones to Moloch. And before we dive into it, I just want to leave a little bit of breadcrumbs here. There's been a group of individuals who have been kicked out of 109 nations over 1,111 times. But yet we know nothing about it in history. In order to unpack this and see what has been hidden right in plain sight in front of us this entire time, we need to start with how the Rothschilds took over the education system. Because in order
Absolutely.
to control this and carry this out, you would have to control the books, you would have to control the flow of information, and you would have to be able to write history. Check this video out.
So this is a great one, and I always talk about the school system because who owns it? Bankers. Check this. Peabody Educational Fund, 1865. That's actually J.P. Morgan. And look at Southern Educational Fund, 1899, controlling the South. Then you move to George Foster Peabody. He gets connected and goes to John D. Rockefeller. Board of Southern Education Fund, $1 million. Then he creates the board in 1905, owns all the schools, and then absorbed into the General Education Board in 1960s, the foundation. So these families right here own all the school systems. So whoever you learn from, this is who you're learning from. You're getting brainwashed in propaganda rather than thinking outside the box and using critical thinking.
And I almost didn't want to believe it at first.
Believe it.
My friends told me, they said, that the word Holocaust wasn't even mentioned in any textbook, in any book, anywhere in the world until like 1993. It was mentioned one time in a congressional record in like the 80s or 70s. Outside of that, it was never mentioned. And then 1993, we had the first creation of the first Holocaust Museum. And then by the 2000s, end of the 90s, every school across America was teaching this version of history, the Holocaust, if you will. Our parents didn't learn about that in school last time. They'll look back and they'll go, yeah, you know what, I don't think we did. So then I started to think, well, if you're going to take over that, and there's some really dark forces, and people were making these accusations about, what they do with the children. I said, okay, well, are there any religious scriptures? Has our religious books changed? Do they manipulate our religion as well? And I found this.
Christian Zionism. How are so many Christians tricked into this, especially since Zionists openly hate Christians?
Right.
It all started in 1909 with the publication of the Schofield Reference Bible, a Rothschild Zionist-funded reinterpretation of the Bible
Here we
to
go.
help Zionists create the state of Israel with the tricked support from the Christians. They paid somebody to reinterpret the words of the Bible to American Christians. The tricks are in the footnote interpretations of the scripture, and sometimes there was more
Now, that video was from Eric Warshaw. He's an amazing, amazing creator. You should give him a follow. Now, the next clip I want to show you is from Ian Carroll, and I want to explain exactly what Ian is missing and what I think Eric is missing. And this is going to be the key missing part to pull all of this together.
You guys know about the Schofield Bible? Oh boy, here's a rabbit hole for you. Here's a rabbit hole for all of us. In the early 1900s, right around when the Federal Reserve was founded and the Balfour Declaration happened, right at that exact same time, the Rothschild family hired this dude, this pastor in the Deep South. He made a new version of the Bible called the Schofield Bible. He wrote this new Bible that has all these new interpretations of the text.
Yep.
So they didn't change.
Jewish influence.
Yes, literally, that's where Judeo-Christianity kind of came from. And the idea that Israel is this modern Israel thing is the Israel of the Bible. It came from that Bible. And the Schofield Bible was funded by the Rothschild family. And then it was pushed because they owned the publisher that publishes like all the books. I think it was Oxford Press. And so they had the deals that they could make to get that Bible into all the mega churches across whole denominations of Christianity. And so that was when Christianity got kind of Jewified.
I think Eric and Ian both made valid points. And yes, everything that they stated in those videos is absolutely correct. But the key piece they're missing is that wasn't the first time our religious scripture had changed. So I don't know if you guys have been scrolling through Instagram or Facebook and you've seen these shorts of people going into their attics and finding like these Bibles from like the 1600s, the 1700s. Well, there's a lot of things that are missing from our current Bibles. Now, we've been told and led to believe that, you know, certain things didn't add up, so they removed the book of Enoch, they removed this, they removed all of these books from the Bible. I think part of it had to do is what they taught us, that the world wasn't a globe, the world wasn't a ball. The world was a lot different and a lot bigger than we expected it to be or when we've been taught. But that wasn't the real secret reason. That was just the logical reason. But in the background, what they didn't realize was what was being removed was martyrs.
Lees, who wrote a book about Jewish ritual murder in the early part of the 20th century in England, noted some interesting facts surrounding the ritual murders. A converted Jew called Theobald of Cambridge confessed that the Jews took blood once a year from a Christian child because they thought that only by so doing could they ever obtain their freedom and return to Palestine. And it was their custom to draw lots to decide whence the blood was to be supplied. The tragic murder that occurred to innocent William set a precedent. Because of Thomas of Monmouth's books that he wrote about the good child, others began to record these wicked deeds perpetrated by fanatical Jews. Some more of these reported victims follow.
Now, in order to become a martyr, you would have to be basically sacrificed based off of your religion. You would have to be killed because of your religious beliefs. I'm going to use a little bit of code words.
So was Charlie Kirk? Because they say he's a martyr. Hold on now.
With the J word.
Crack this case. Like I said, this is a very close.
Okay. That is the name of the documentary, and you should watch it because we're going to play a few clips from it here in just a second. But what happened was all throughout history, all of those 109 times.
Oh yeah, the Schofield Bible.
And kicked out of
study Bible.
From nations because they were caught sacrificing children.
Yep.
In
I used to have
1243,
one.
in Kissingen, Bavaria, Jews were convicted by a court of law after having confessed to having used the blood of Gentiles for occult rites in their Jewish holiday of Passover.
And what happened to those children? They became martyrs, and they were put into our biblical text, our biblical scripture. God was warning us what these people were capable of, and so were priests, and so were kings, and so were leaders of nations, all throughout history.
In the year 1255 in London, England, a young innocent Gentile by the name of Hugh was discovered to have been ritually murdered. His punctured body was found hidden on a Jew's property. After having reviewed the evidence, a court tried and convicted 18 prominent Jews of having committed the deed. The child was later canonized and became a saint. Altogether, before the Catholic Church became a bulwark for political correctness, there were over 20 children who had been ritually murdered by Jews and made into saints.
And it all boiled back to how they actually sacrificed these children by puncturing them. Each Jewish person would take a shank and shank them while they had them hanging upside down, bleeding out all over statues of Moloch.
In 1290 in Oxford, England, a Jew by the name of Isaac de Poulet was arrested for the ritual murder of a Gentile child. Perhaps this was the defining moment, as Jews were permanently banished from England a month later. Many of these Jews fled to Germany or other European cities.
I mean, this stuff's so dark and so demonic. That's what they really wanted to remove from history. That's why every time there's an archaeological discovery, somebody has to go in, because they are terrified that we are going to uncover scripture that warned us about them. And it makes everything make sense.
I do.
So when I play these next few videos, again, I apologize. I just uncovered this morning and it almost made me puke. I was so disgusted. And I said, holy shit. This is all so much bigger than we can even comprehend. And not just that, I believe that they are harnessing some dark demonic energy that we
Yes.
don't really know exist.
Right.
We know exist. We understand that there's things happening in this universe that we can't really understand or explain. We can feel it. We feel like
I totally agree. There are some dark, yes. And I guess that's what we were trying to tap into, you know, these last couple of days. It's like, okay, what's really, this is just, well, more than a couple of days, but going into that other side, because it's like, you know, these creatures and aliens and, you know, why are they interacting with them and what is this and why are they harvesting and babies and doing these studies and, you know, playing with DNA. What in the world is going on? So I totally get what he is saying. Let's go. The energy is absolutely off, and it's a lot of
A
them.
Gentile child. Perhaps this was a defining moment, as Jews were permanently banished from England a month later. Many of these Jews fled to Germany or other European cities.
I mean, this stuff's so dark and so demonic. That's what they really wanted to remove from history. That's why every time there's an archaeological discovery, somebody has to go in. Because they are terrified that we are going to uncover scripture that warned us about them. And it makes everything make sense. So when I play these next few videos, again, I apologize. I just uncovered this morning and it almost made me puke. I was so disgusted. And I said, holy shit. This is all so much bigger than we can even comprehend. And not just that, I believe that they are harnessing some dark demonic energy that we don't really know exist, but we know exist. We understand that there's things happening in this universe that we can't really understand or explain. We can feel it. We feel like our brains are way more powerful than we've been led on to believe. We feel like maybe there's some metals in the vaccines that have to
By
do with our
using our
vibrational
text
frequencies. Because if you wanted
they
to mess
need
with
to
the
use
frequency,
their
you would
own.
inject
Yeah,
some type of
we ought to be
non-magnetic
able
force
to
or
sue
material into that
for our
equation.
money,
And which is why I think we're being injected
misappropriating
within days of us being
funds.
born, so that our brain, our third eye, never actually develops. So when I share this next video with you guys, I know it's going to make you uncomfortable and you probably don't want to share it, but maybe just send it in a DM to a couple friends.
Oh,
who
well, let
maybe
me
need to see this
change
video
the.
because it about made me sick. And just ignoring the fact that we are at war and there are some dark demonic forces that have waged war on all Christians and Muslims across the
I've
entire
been trying
world.
to tell y'all
And it's
that.
one small group of people that
I've
are
been trying to
come
tell y'all.
after our children. And the sickest part about this is part of these rituals involve forcing us to eat our own children. So after they sacrifice them, they use the blood in their recipes, and they make bread, and they make food, and then they give it out to all of the people in those towns and civilizations. I know how batshit crazy this sounds, but please don't take my word for it.
Yeah, they feed.
By the name of Rabbi A.B. Finkelstein. He's from the east coast of...
Arrested for the ritual murder of a Gentile child. Perhaps this was a defining moment, as Jews were permanently banished from England a month later. Many of these Jews fled to Germany or other European cities.
I mean, this stuff's so dark and so demonic. That's what they really wanted to remove from history. That's why every time there's an archaeological discovery, somebody has to go in. Because they are terrified that we are going to uncover scripture that warned us about them. And it makes everything make sense. So when I play these next few videos, again, I apologize. I just uncovered this morning and it almost made me puke. I was so disgusted. And I said, holy shit.
Trump is using the IRS. Yeah, trillions of dollars has been missing. Gold, tons of gold disappeared.
I believe that they are harnessing some dark demonic energy that we don't really know exist, but we know exist. We understand that there's things happening in this universe that we can't really understand or explain. We can feel it. We feel like our brains are way more powerful than we've been led on to believe. We feel like maybe there's some metals in the vaccines that have to do with our vibrational frequencies, because if you wanted to mess with a frequency, you would inject some type of non-magnetic force or material into that equation. And which is why I think we're getting injected within days of us being born, so that our brain, our third eye, never actually develops. So when I share this next video with you guys, I know it's going to going to make you uncomfortable and you probably don't want to share it. But maybe just send it in a
My
DM to
mother
a couple
taught
friends
us
who maybe
not
need to see
to
this
eat
video
at
that about
anyone's
MEMPHIS 6
house
and just ignoring the fact that we
unvisited
are at
and they
war
offer
and there are some
something.
dark demonic
You
forces that
better
have waged
not.
war on all Christians and Muslims across the entire world. And it's
Something
one small
you
group of
better.
people that are trying to come after
Yes,
our
no, thank
children.
you.
And the sickest part about this is part of these rituals involve forcing us to eat our own children. So after they sacrifice them, they use the blood in their recipes, and they make bread, and they make food, and then they give it out to all of the people in those towns and civilizations.
Oh no, that ain't what they doing.
This sounds, but please don't take my word for
Nope.
it. Just listen to what they say.
No, that is not what they're doing. They're using the blood. They drinking the blood. They are putting it on their face or whatever, infusing or whatever. Diddy infuses people's blood in him, but they use the blood for like a wine. Please stop saying. And then they take the bodies where they make McDonald's, Burger King, and they combine human flesh that's been, well, the bodies, and they grind it up with the cow or whatever they make their patties with. So you, your kids, and everybody else that eats McDonald's, to all beef, they not all beef, special sauce, lettuce, cheese, pickles, onions on a sesame seed bun. We got something else special in there for you. But if I tell you what it is, I have to take you out. Yeah. So it's more than special sauce in that Big Mac. It got some peoples in there. So a lot of our sickness in our stomachs and, just, let's just watch it. Oh, my God.
Rabbi A.B. Finkelstein. He's from the east coast of the United States, who's going to be joining me tonight. Shalom, I am here. There's a lot of rumors and conjecture that's taking place across this country relating to the Jewish population, okay? Okay. The masses have a hard time believing anything. Well, we've done a great brainwashing job on them over the centuries, and especially the last few hundred years. We've just brainwashed them completely. They believe anything we tell them. And, in the meantime, we have a lot of fun around Passover where we steal the children. I mean, we steal 100 to 300,000 children a year just here in this country, and we drain their blood, and we mix it with the Passover bread, and then we throw the bodies into the slaughterhouses that we own, and we grind up all the bodies in the sausage and the hamburger. McDonald's is one of our favorite outlets, and the people, they eat them.
So sausage, yeah, so they make sausage. So the sausage eaters, you're eating human people. And other, so they're telling you, so it ain't just McDonald's, their outlet. They take it to a butcher, and however they make their sausage, they grinding up human people.
And the sickest part about this is part of these rituals involve forcing us to eat our own children. So after they sacrifice them, they use the blood in their recipes, and they make bread, and they make food, and then they give it out to all of the people in those towns and civilizations. I know how batshit crazy this sounds, but please don't take my word
I believe it.
Just listen to what they say.
The name of Rabbi A.B. Finkelstein. He's from the east coast of the United States, who's going to be joining me tonight. Shalom, I am here. There's a lot of rumors and conjecture that's taking place across this country relating to the Jewish population, okay? Okay. The masses have a hard time believing anything. Well, we've done a great brainwashing job on them over the centuries, and especially the last few hundred years. We've just brainwashed them completely. They believe anything we tell them. And,
that sound like Trump.
We have a lot of fun around Passover where we steal the children. I mean, we steal 100 to 300,000 children a year just here in this country, and we drain their blood and we mix it with the Passover bread, and then we throw the bodies into the slaughterhouses that we own, and we grind up all the bodies in the sausage and the hamburger. McDonald's is one of our favorite outlets, and the people, they eat it for breakfast, they eat their children for lunch, and as Jews, we gotta do what we do. It's over things like this.
They gotta do what they gotta do.
When you hear things like that, they sound so gosh damn crazy. I know how crazy they sound.
We Jews, we fake Jews.
People, they eat it for breakfast, they eat their children for lunch, and as Jews, we gotta do what we do. It's over things like this. So that's why I'm speaking so honestly.
So is he an anti-Semite? Is he anti-Semitic? Speaking again about the Jews? Is he not an anti-Semite? Huh? I'm confused. He telling us all this negative stuff that the Jews do to us, and he said that, oh well, a Jew got to do what a Jew got to do, and we feeding y'all own kids that we used for the blood for Passover. I would think that's anti-Semitic. But he telling the truth though. So when other people tell the truth, you get labeled. I mean, but thank God he telling us. You can't say we don't know. We hearing it from the people. He telling you what they do. Why is he scorned? I would think he poking fun more than I would say he's scorned. What makes him scorn? He's saying y'all believe in everything they tell you. That's what Donald Trump said. Donald Trump has said it. So I don't know how you getting scorn out of that. Help me understand scorn. These are a bunch of sick people in charge of. Absolutely, he ain't pulling no punches. Absolutely, Jared, he ain't scorned. He telling it like a T.I. is. And you see what you just did? No disrespect, Purple Heart. You turn a flower, you turned that into something else. You turn his truth into something else and made him scorn. And all he did was told the truth. That don't make him scorn. What if God led him to do that? I mean, and guess what? He didn't say that he was going to stop doing it. He just telling it. No, that don't mean he's scorned. So am I scorned when I come in here and I start telling the truth? Do you think I'm scorned? That's a mindset thing. That's a mindset thing. You have to ask God to renew the right spirit in your mind as well as your heart. Because when people tell people the truth and they switch it around, that means that you have a problem with the truth. Okay, well, I'm telling you, that man is not scorned. And I don't know how you get scorned out of somebody telling the truth. You switch that around. Respectfully, I'm telling you the truth. And you may not want to hear it, but that's exactly what you just did. You can't hear the truth. And when you hear it and you find fault in it to cast some type of doubt or cast some type of energy on the truth. That's what you just did. But I'm gonna move on. But yeah, you may want to check that. Or at least ask God if that is true, remove that. So whether he telling on his own people, so maybe they did, maybe. So now you adding, maybe they did him wrong at some point. You see how you turned the truth into something else. instead of just accepting the truth. Yeah, that's a problem. And yeah, I'm gonna be honest, that's a problem. You just changed the whole narrative into maybe they did something to him. No. What if he's on a journey of truth? That never crossed your mind. Now you want to know why he telling the truth. They must have did something to him. No. I'm going to take the truth and I'm just going to set that truth right there. And I'm not going to break down why he is telling the truth. I'm sure there are people that I know in my life that would rather I not be on a truth journey. I'm on a truth. Don't ask me nothing, because I'm going to tell you the truth. And if you do not want to know the truth, don't ask me. That's the mission I'm on right now. That's my journey. That's what God led me to. So somebody is going to say, oh, yeah, somebody must have did something to her. That's why she telling the truth. That's why she don't like people coming in here lying to her T-sippers, because somebody must have did something to her. No, absolutely not. And that's a problem. That's a problem. I'm going to be absolutely honest with you, respectfully. That's a problem. That's why we're in the position that we're in. That's why the devil or people who have evil intent can tell us what they're going to do, and we'll still stand behind them. Because we're going to turn it around and make it be about something else instead of the truth. That's how they've been able to get as far down the line with this foolishness. Because we're going to make it be about something else rather than the truth. This man is saying they are taking, they're kidnapping. We know that to be true now. We may not have believed it to this degree before until the Epstein files is co-signing it. So is the Epstein files wrong too? I mean, come on, man. We got to stop that. These are a bunch of 6 people in, yeah. He ain't pulling no punches. I respect that. I hope he has stopped what he's doing. Not all Jews, but I'm talking about the demonic ones, the ones that's led by the wrong spirit, the Zionists. Some or most Christians, right? I get that. I understand that. That's why we appreciate you to tell us the truth. The truth got to set us free. The truth got to set us free. You know, I hope that nobody is questioning why I am so solid and intentionally serious about the truth and not changing, accepting any narrative. And, you know, people come in here on purpose to change a narrative, to pull you away from the truth. Do y'all understand that that's exactly what Trump and other people are paying with these bots to come in and pull you away from the truth? If they wanted you to know the truth, then there would never be whitewashing. History would be history. History would be facts. There would be no reason to change up I've had a Schofield Bible. Yeah, I've had a Schofield Bible. I remember that was what we were told to get to study. The Bible says, study to show thyself approved. Just reading the Bible is not study. You got to go in there. I remember that. My Schofield Bible was blue. I remember when the easy reading came out. I remember when the Bible for women, Bible for men, Bible for children. They had it where it was supposed to be able to translate better. And I remember saying, well, the Bible is how old? So why does it need to be? I mean, if you need a better understanding, I thought we were supposed to ask God to reveal the gospel, this truth to you. I mean, how was other people able to learn the Bible? So why all of a sudden now we need? I remember this. I had all them Bibles. I've had several of them, and I did have a Schofield. What was commentary? A commentary. What is it called? For easy, I can't remember. I'm gonna look it up. Let me finish. I can't remember.
There's a lot of rumors and conjecture that's taking place across this country relating to the Jewish population, okay? Okay. The masses have a hard time believing anything. Well, we've done a great brainwashing job on them over the centuries, and especially the last few hundred years. We've just brainwashed them completely. They believe anything we tell them. And, in the meantime, we have a lot of fun around Passover where we steal the children. I mean, we steal 100 to 300,000 children a year just here in this country, and we drain their blood and we mix it with the Passover bread, and then we throw the bodies into the slaughterhouses that we own, and we grind up all the bodies in the sausage and the hamburger. McDonald's is one of our favorite outlets, and the people, they eat it for breakfast, they eat their children for lunch.
I had Matthew
as
Henry.
Jews, we gotta do what we do. It's over things like this, so that's why I'm speaking so honestly.
What race?
Like that, they sound.
Did he say the white race?
When you hear things like that, they sound.
And as Jews, we gotta do what we do. It's over things like this, so that's why I'm speaking so honestly.
He said it's over for you, white race.
So gosh damn crazy. I know how crazy they sound. But after watching what they did in Gaza and watching the IDF train their soldiers to double tap children, one in the genitals when he goes down, the second one in the head, and they're able to shoot off children's genitals, they advocate, they have protests for the right to rape prisoners. We're watching the most demonic and evil thing in 4K, and the entire world is watching it, yet no one's doing anything to stop it. So the only logical conclusion I can come up with is they are harnessing some type of dark demonic energy, and they use that dark demonic energy to either cast a spell over everybody, or at the very least the people in power, or the blackmail that they have on these people because they've participated in these satanic rituals. But that's what their people believe in. So if their people are at the upper echelons of power in every organization in our country, there's some dark, sick people that are in control of the FDA, control of the CDC, control of the FBI, the DOJ. All of these institutions that are supposed to protect us have been turned as weapons against us. It's absolute crazy, right? Am I crazy? Does this sound insane to you guys? I don't fucking know. This video is going to get me deleted from the internet, but fuck it. It needed to be put out, right?
The truth will set you free, my brother.
In Kentucky, in a small town, specifically
Thank you. I mean,
to cause division in church.
We looked up on him, listening to her saying how they had plants in all the places. We looked up on her. With her, and we found him, and he was absolutely correct. And let me show you. Let's go here. We already off, right? He ain't lying. Yeah, no, he not. I mean, we already off, right? Dang it. Let me finish this.
Closed off community. This is not in. It's in conversation with the rest of the Jewish community in New York, but it's its own separate thing.
Do you think that's the reason for the weird conflicting reporting?
That's why
because none of this has been clear to me, right? Like read so
I like
many
the
different
Ethiopian
reports
Bible
on
and the
what
original
transpired,
King
and
James
each report
Bible.
seems to have a different
He ain't
reason for
lying.
why the
Why would
tunnels
he
were
lie?
built. And I apologize to our audience for not having the clarity that I typically like to have when I cover these types of stories, but I just felt like it was an interesting enough story to share, which is why I'm doing it. But there's a massive downside to the lack of clarity with this story that I've been noticing on social media. I'm wondering if you noticed as well, Waz, where some of the more conspiratorial minded people
are gonna assume some of the worst stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, and so I'm seeing.
Oh, they're housing little kids in there.
Yep.
They're doing
Yep.
bad sex stuff. Blah 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 blah.
Y'all, this is old. So let's be clear with what they're saying, because the underground tunnel stuff, the secret tunnels, this was a couple of years ago. So what they're saying was 2 years ago. Since then, we have clarity on tunnel cops clash with the truth. So what they were about to go into, yeah, we way past that part of it now, because we know that what they was about to say was rumors is absolute facts. Yeah. And as far as the Bible, let's go here.
Do you have
You know, I just
$100?
want it
Because
to
I'm looking
connect,
for 2,000
since
believers who are willing to trade
it
100.
The old, the top.
with what we was just discussing. Let's go about the Schofield Bible.
Hey everyone, got an Oxford King James Version Schofield Study Bible, and this is the old. The title of it is the Old Schofield Study Bible, King James Version, and it's the 1917 notes, classic edition. And you can see it. It retails for $69 and sells for $30. I got this on a trade as well. Move that out of the way. And this is in a bonded leather cover, which it won't be for long. If I keep it, I will rebind it. It'll be a rebind project since it's new basically, and the gold looks really good.
I don't
It's
know.
got a few little scratches from the
Is
previous
he
owner,
selling, or is
but
he
it's
going
in really good
into?
shape. The head and tail bands are
Oh yeah, so
in
he's
great
selling.
shape.
I thought he was going to explain it. Hold on. He's selling. Hold on. Because as I was, the old Schofield Bible comparison. Hold on. Yeah, the Schofield Bible was a study Bible. It's when it's study to show yourself approved.
Hello everyone, welcome to my channel, and today I'm going to talk about the differences and changes made on the old Schofield Study Bible. Now specifically, changes made from the old Schofield Classic Study Bible, which is this one here, into the old Schofield Standard Edition Study Bible, which is this one here. Now, I just want to clarify that the Classic and Standard Editions are both identical except for size comparisons and a few format changes made to enhance its use. Now, number one, chapter and verse citations in the notes and references are separated with
Oh,
a
scroll.
colon
Okay, hold on.
as opposed to a period or a period and space. Now let me show you
Hey,
what
King
they
of
mean by that.
Kapala. Hey, Precious, how you
If you
doing?
go in Matthew, the book of Matthew, page 994 in the old classic edition,
Okay, let's see. Maybe he
and
finna
if
go
you
in.
were to look up in the center reference, the first one, A,
So,
is this one here, right there. It has 1 Chronicles chapter 3, verse 19, and if you look real closely, you see a period between the 3 and the 19. Now that's the old classic edition, whereas the standard edition has can see there, it has a colon between the 3 and the 19.
Yeah, and I made a mistake.
It's the same thing, except that the period in the columns changes. It's more modern on this one than it is on the classic edition.
Now that I'm looking at it, I don't know if I had a Schofield, but I think while I was doing this little research, I had what is this? Matthew Henry is the one I had. That was the study Bible that I chose. Matthew Henry. And I don't remember why somebody, I don't remember if it was at the Christian bookstore or a former in-law who suggested that I got the Matthew Henry over the Schofield. But I did have a study Bible, but I think mine was the Matthew Henry, now that I was looking at it. So yeah, the Schofield Bible is what they're saying that they introduced to change up the word, to leave out certain things and guide you in a different direction from the truth. And I remember, oh, I wish I could get in contact with Miss Washington. I remember going to that retreat, and I was puzzled. And I remember that first lady, she said, do you know, I would never forget that. She said, do you know that what you are saying what you are asking me would mean that everything that we was taught was wrong. Oh my God. I will never forget that. I will never forget that. And I said, exactly. Because what y'all pushing is not what God said he came for. And y'all preach with condemnation, and Christ said he came to save the world and not condemn it. And if he could save a thief on the cross before he was about to be put to rest, then he can save us at any point in time in our life. And it's not our place to tell somebody what God cannot do. We are not God. We say you got to go and live a certain life, you know, huh? So we saved by works. Bible says you saved by grace, not by works, lest you brag. But let me move on, you know, because what I'm finding out now, all the manipulation, that pastor's wife at that retreat, that weekend retreat, she was finna rip off into me. She was finna take her holy hat off, and she was about to rip into me because of the questions that was laid and pressed on my heart. Pressed on my heart. Yeah, let me go on, man. Is that I can't stand the deceit. I cannot stand it. I cannot stand the manipulation. That's traditional teaching, and that it's just been passed on, and a narrative was created, and it was just passed on, and they intentionally ran it through the churches because the Zionist hates Christ. I thank God, I just thank God. I thank God. Lord, I thank you because I had no idea. I had no idea. I just knew it didn't add up. I just knew it didn't add up. And I remember making up in my mind, I'm just going to go with what he lay on my heart and continue to ask him to create the right spirit in me. Because these people that you thought was holy and had it all together, later on in life, they come against some heartaches, and some people that they've been with passed away and they don't want to live. And I'm like, wait, what? They don't taught us this. And what? The pastor's wife what? Where's the faith? Where's all of what? They never had it. Oh, wow. Maybe they thought they did, but what happened? I'm so stuck on it. And I'm like, okay, but your faith got to carry you to the end. What about the mustard seed? What about all that they taught us? So you telling me now they don't believe it? What done happened? Let me move on, y'all. So y'all get y'all study Bible. Get you a right one. I don't know. I don't remember why I don't know who led me away from. It may have been James. It may have been James. My first boyfriend gave me money. We weren't even together. He gave me money for a Bible. He said, go get you. And me trifling at that time. Went in there, the Bible store, to get a good leather Bible, but the cheapest one so I could keep the change. Ain't that trifling? A good leather one so I could keep the change. But he planted that seed. And occasionally when we be on the phone, having Bible study over the phone, be like, ugh, rolling my eyes, feel obligated to go through it with him. Because he planted that seed. So I think it was him who pulled me away from the Schofield Bible and guided me to the Matthew Henry. I don't remember, but yeah, just trifling. And I always got to give him credit for being the person that God chose to plant a seed in me. Because that's indeed what he did. Y'all, I'm all off. I'm sorry. I am so sorry. I am so sorry. But get you a good study Bible. You can see now that they playing with us. They intentionally trying to steer you away from the true gospel of Christ. So again, if anybody on here who confused about if Christ is real, if God is real, they going too hard in the paint to keep the truth away from you, for God not to be real. Are we done here?
And also,
for the
if you
I
look
went
in the
here for the
old
one who said
classic
they never
edition,
have
in
seen
the notes in the
the
bottom,
Schofield Bible, but the Schofield
you
Bible
notice that
is
there's
the
a 1
Jewish
here.
people who planted this Bible to pass through. I'm telling you, I remember when they came through the church. I remember when they passed out those new
I've
easy
always wanted a
reading
Schofield, now I have.
Bibles. I remember. Now we're finding out that they were planted there so that means a lot of our teaching that we were raised on has been manipulated. So, we have to trust them and lean on our own personal relationship with God. Ask him to lead you where your truth is in his word and in his gospel. Okay, now I'm going back, y'all, back to where we was. I ain't letting up. I'm sorry. They done lied in our face. On purpose.
So let me give you three numbers: 28, 99, and 150,000.
Documents tonight say President.
Y'all, let me go get some water. I'm sorry, I went on a tangent. I'm so sorry, y'all. I am so sorry. All of this
Newly released
has
documents tonight say President.
caught me off guard. This ain't none of, I thought I was on point. I thought I had a plan. I knew how I was going. I thought I had it. We have to be retaught. And absolutely. You're right about it. Thank you for the floating heart. Hey, VVTT. For God so loved the world. Absolutely. TN is one of the sickest states of y'all of having noticed. Okay, yeah, so what's your point? Sin Lou. Feed with the facts. I can't Kampala. Okay, let's go.
President Trump personally warned officials about Jeffrey Epstein decades ago. An FBI interview summary describing how President Trump called the then Palm Beach police chief to tell him, "Thank goodness you're stopping Jeffrey Epstein. Everyone has known he's been doing this." Adding people in New York knew Epstein was disgusting.
He kicked Jeffrey Epstein out of his Mar-a-Lago club because Jeffrey Epstein was a creep, and that remains true. And this call, if it did happen, corroborates exactly what President Trump has said from the beginning.
But President Trump said this in 2019.
No, I had no idea. I had no idea.
The former Palm Beach police chief, Michael Ryder, not commenting to NBC News, but telling the Miami Herald the interview with Donald Trump happened in the summer of 2006. According to the document, the president told Ryder he was around Epstein once when teenagers were present, and Mr. Trump said he got the hell out of there, and added about Epstein's convicted co-conspirator Ghislaine Maxwell, she is evil, and to focus on her.
Shifting gears. Let me tell you about a jaw-dropping moment in the courtroom saga surrounding the Trump family. This isn't about Donald Trump himself, but rather his son, Eric. Eric took the stand under oath in the New York civil fraud trial, the case that's making waves and could potentially unravel the entire Trump business empire. What went down during his testimony was nothing short of a legal disaster, almost like watching a slow-motion train wreck. His own defense team looked like they were reeling from every word he said, while prosecutors were practically licking their chops, finding exactly what they needed to make things tighter for the Trump organization. Now, Eric walked into that courtroom with a game plan that seemed straightforward. He had obviously practiced this ahead of time. He aimed to deny everything and completely distance himself from the financial statements that were under scrutiny in this fraud case. He claimed he was just a guy who worked in construction, pouring concrete, managing properties, and overseeing building projects, insisting he had no connection whatsoever to the accounting, valuations, or financial documents that prosecutors allege were intentionally inflated to deceive banks and insurance companies out of hundreds of millions of dollars. Over many years, Eric Trump's lawyers had a pretty clear strategy for him. They advised him to stick to what he knew and say he never dealt with the numbers, insisting he had no clue about his father's financial statements. They wanted him to claim that the financial part of the business was handled by someone else while he focused on the physical aspects like construction timelines and properties. In the beginning of his testimony, he seemed like he was going to follow that script flawlessly, looking confident and composed in the witness chair. He stated without hesitation that he had nothing to do with his father's financial records, claiming he wasn't even aware of their details. He maintained that his role at the Trump Organization revolved around managing properties and overseeing construction, not the financial reports or accounting that are crucial to this fraud case. Nice and straightforward, deny and distance himself from the issue. For a moment, it actually seemed like he might pull it off.
Did interact with Epstein again.
Do the 7-minute Tai Chi walking workouts for ladies over 45.
A lady over 45. Hold on. Dang it. Here's that barber, y'all. This is that barber that he gave me the money for. My whole name is on the front of it. I will show you. But this is my barber. Look at it. Can y'all see all that? And I went in there to get it for y'all to see my Bible that someone planted a seed. I ain't understand it then, but Lord, I thank you. And in here, oh, this is my first, oh, this is Schofield. This is what was Schofield, and my my study Bible was, hold on. And my study Bible was Matthew Henry. Hold on. Let's see. Oh, Lord. If I had not gotten up to check this out.
Did you, in fact, make the...
First Schofield Study Bible. I knew I had a Schofield, but my commentary was Matthew Henry. Did I? The first Schofield Study Bible. And I'm going to tell you how old this Bible is. As I was scrolling through it, wow. I saw this $2 bill. Where is it at now? I thought I had put a message in here for when James gave me the money to go buy this Bible. But hold on, let me show y'all something. Where did I just see it? Where did I just see it? My sister gave me, I don't know why I can't find it. I just saw it. I took it out, Lord. My sister gave me a $2 bill. And on here, I wrote, given by my sister, and I got her name on 12/31/16. For prosperity in 2017. So there I go. I do have a Schofield Bible, and I had a Matthew Henry. People wake up. People wake up. Trump is a liar. And he knew and participated in what Trump was doing. Absolutely. Okay, let's go.
Visit to Jeffrey Epstein's private island?
I did have lunch with him as I was on a boat
They
going across.
lying butts.
Advised him to stick to what he knew and say he never dealt with the numbers, insisting he had no clue about his father's financial statements. They wanted him to claim that the financial part of the business was handled by someone else while he focused on the physical aspects like construction timelines and properties. In the beginning of his testimony, he seemed like he was going to follow that script flawlessly, looking confident and composed in the witness chair. He stated without hesitation that he had nothing to do with his father's financial records, claiming he wasn't even aware of their details. He maintained that his role at the Trump Organization revolved around managing properties and overseeing construction, not the financial reports or accounting that are crucial to this fraud case. Nice and straightforward, deny and distance himself
Do you
from
remember
the
me
issue.
telling you that
For a moment, it
Maxwell
actually
was
seemed like he
missing,
might pull it off.
and
Did interact with Epstein
when
again.
I went back
Did you in
to
fact
the
make
news
the visit
report, it was
to
gone.
Jeffrey Epstein's private island?
I did have lunch with him as I was on a boat
Maybe.
going
Well,
across
she
on a
gone
family
because they
vacation.
done moved her
My wife
out. We
was
talked
with
about
me,
that yesterday.
as were my 4
She
children
been swapped.
and nannies.
Lutnick has not been accused of wrongdoing in connection with Epstein, saying today he had no relationship with and barely anything to do with Epstein.
Everything fell
She was
apart
swapped.
spectacularly in front of everyone watching. After spending months preparing, they
We broke
really
that
dug
down
deep,
Friday.
sifting through hundreds of thousands of
Then it
pages
came
filled
out
with
Saturday.
internal documents, emails, memos, and spreadsheets from the Trump Organization. Hidden among all those papers were messages that directly contradicted what Eric had just claimed in court under oath. Just a little while earlier, the prosecutors had shown him an email from Jeff McConey, the organization's longtime controller, who was the guy responsible for preparing Donald Trump's annual financial statements. In that email, McConey was reaching out to Eric directly, no middleman involved, explicitly saying he was working on their father's financial statement and asking Eric for specific details about certain Trump properties to include. Eric had replied to that email. He
This
read it,
was
understood
right
what was
after
being
they
asked,
moved
and
her,
even provided the
and she
information
gave her
McConey
first interview
requested. He was right
to the
there in the thick
department.
of gathering data that went into the very financial statements he had just claimed in court he had nothing to do with and wasn't
Blanche?
personally aware of. It's honestly hard to believe he said that out loud.
You talking about her
Sitting
first
in front of a
interview with
judge,
Blanche?
surrounded by lawyers and reporters, he swore under penalty of perjury that he didn't have any involvement with those financial statements. Then the prosecutors pulled up his very own email, where he was literally responding to a direct request for information that went straight into those documents. That's not just a little hiccup that you can brush off. It's not a matter of interpretation. Those are his own words captured on screen, completely wrecking the testimony he gave just moments before. And let's not forget how Eric handled the fallout from those emails. It only made things worse for himself and for the meticulously crafted defense strategy for the Trump family. In the courtroom, reporters noticed Eric Trump shifting uncomfortably in his chair as the prosecutors walked him through a series of emails that clearly showed his role in gathering property information. He was involved in providing details that got included in his father's financial statements. It was hard to miss how fidgety Eric was. He adjusted his suit jacket and looked visibly unsettled. He found himself trying to navigate a tricky situation. He admitted, yes, he knew that McConey was preparing financial statements for his father, and yes, he did respond to emails requesting property information. But here's where things got a bit absurd. He insisted that he never thought the specific information he was providing would actually make it into the financial statements now under scrutiny for fraud. He claimed it just didn't register with him that those requests were linked to those documents. Honestly, it's quite hard to buy that excuse. Eric holds a significant position as a senior executive vice president at the Trump Organization, and as
He
the
done got
son
all
of
his
the
kids
man
in
whose
trouble.
financial statements are in the hot seat for fraud, he attends meetings about these properties every week, so expecting anyone, especially a sitting judge, to believe that when the company's controller reached out with a direct email about his father's financial condition and asked for specific property data, Eric thought it was just a casual chat without purpose. Well, it's honestly hard to believe he said that out loud. That kind of defense doesn't just seem flimsy. It genuinely disrespects the intelligence of everyone in that courtroom, including the judge who will make the final call in this case. Now, let's dive deeper into what the prosecutors found during their document investigation and why Eric's testimony is such a big deal for the overall civil fraud case against the Trump Organization. This isn't just about catching one nervous witness in a slip-up during a single afternoon of questioning. It's about taking apart the whole defensive strategy that the Trump family has meticulously crafted around these fraud allegations over the years. An elaborate defense that the defense is hinged on this one main point. Donald Trump and his adult children weren't involved in putting together or reviewing the financial statements. They claim that all the numbers came from outside accountants and lower-level staff acting independently without any guidance from upper management. This has been the Trump family's defense strategy since the beginning of this legal battle. They maintain that the boss wasn't aware of the actual numbers and that the family didn't understand the valuations at all. Instead, they suggest that it was all the accountants doing, and if there were any errors, like properties being valued too high or assets being inflated, that was solely the accountant's problem, not theirs. But then there's Eric Trump's testimony, which really shakes things up. The emails that popped up during his time on the stand contradicted his claims in a pretty embarrassing way. It's almost like they took a big hammer to the carefully crafted defense. If Eric, who's a senior executive and part of the family in charge, received emails about preparing his father's financial statements and shared detailed info about properties included in those statements, then it's tough to stick to the story that the family was clueless about the numbers and how they were put together. The evidence around property valuations adds even more trouble for the whole Trump clan. The prosecution isn't just claiming that Eric responded to a handful of routine emails without realizing their importance. No, it runs much deeper than that. An independent appraiser who testified during the trial mentioned under oath that Eric was actively involved and maintained a personal role in this process. I found it interesting to learn about the specific high-value Trump properties like Trump National Golf Club and the expansive Seven Springs Estate in Westchester County, New York. It turns out the appraiser had some direct conversations with Eric about these properties. They dove into discussions about the market value, development potential, and all sorts of scenarios regarding what these properties could be worth. Eric wasn't just sitting back and listening, he was fully engaged in these talks. Now here's where things get really eye-opening. The figures that ended up in Donald Trump's official financial statements for those same properties were over twice what the independent appraiser suggested they were worth, using standard methods to determine value. That's a staggering difference, more than double the appraiser's estimates. The prosecution has pieced together a clear chain of evidence showing Eric's hands-on involvement in property valuations and his detailed discussions on their worth. Yet during his time on the witness stand under oath, Eric claimed he had nothing to do with those financial statements, stating he wasn't even aware of them or their contents. The prosecutors definitely don't need fancy presentations to make their point clear to the judge about what this sequence of events suggests. This is significant, especially in the context of the civil fraud case. The whole foundation of the prosecution's argument relies on proving that the Trump Organization, specifically those at the very top who made decisions, was involved in a deliberate scheme to create misleading financial statements that misrepresented Trump's true asset values, all in an effort to gain more.
Ouch.
If the state can just show that lower-level accountants and bookkeepers messed up or didn't exercise sound judgment when valuing properties, they've got a much weaker case on their hands. The penalties the court could impose would be pretty limited, too. But if they can prove that Donald, Eric, and Don Jr. were directly involved in manipulating those property valuations and were fully aware that the figures on the financial statement, then it's a whole different ballgame. Suddenly this shifts from being a simple accounting issue or a matter of professional negligence to a serious fraud case with huge implications for them and their business empire. That's exactly what Eric's inconsistent testimony, along with some supporting emails, has done for the prosecution. It really lays bare that the Trump family was deeply involved in producing those disputed financial statements. The defense argument about not being involved truly falls apart when you look at the documentary evidence from the Trump Organization. The scenes in the courtroom while Eric was testifying also shine a light on some serious legal vulnerabilities the Trump family faces, and it goes way beyond just this one civil case. Observers, including legal analysts and former prosecutors, noted Eric's style on the stand. The way he made broad denials of involvement only to end up hesitantly
this may be the only, this may be the easiest way. You know how they do everybody else. Y'all know how they do. If they can't, hey, Doobie, you know how they do. You know, when it's taking too long to get you one way, they'll get you another one. As long as they get you in there, and then they just kind of hold you in there, you know, you know, until they can get it together. Maybe this with the Letitia James and the inflated property and, you know, all of that. Maybe that's the way of getting them, you know. And then once you got him, with what you already know you got him on, then they will be able to hit him with what he was doing with these kids and stuff. any way we can get him. Get him. Just saw Trump on TMZ with box of McDonald's. I saw that on the airplane with his son. Sure did. I saw that too. It was 3 of them. And that other guy, Lutnick. Hasn't he also been on fire? He loves McDonald's. He said he trusts that. And maybe that's why he's so mean and hateful, because he eating human meat. He say he trusts fast food. That's why his farts and shit stink like they do. He rotten on the inside. He's a rotten man. Absolutely. Let me close this up, y'all. But look at here. I want y'all to see this. And let me take this down. I want y'all to see this.
Proof of his earlier claims being false.
All he's done. So when we talked about train up a child, I don't know if we talked about it, or I was trying to get something with the. Oh, did I drop it again? God, dog. Can't stand. All parents, if they're not of Christ, or led by God, Bible says train up a child in the way it should go. And if but what if you training them up the opposite? What if you are not a believer in Christ? Caught line. Where did it go, y'all? I mean, should they still do what you tell them to do? I'm talking about when they get older. Where did that tab go? Do God expect for them? No, he does not expect for you to still follow up under them. You can be respectful, but if your child wasn't brought up on Christ, then and you didn't bring them up in the way that they should go, you failed the kid. And if a kid grows up and decide no longer to listen to you because you're not leading them in the right direction, you think God is going to punish you for that? No, he's not. So when I hear these non-believers, want to do what they want to do and say they don't believe in God, and when they young adults are contrary, and the respect ain't where it should be, and you want to say, the Bible said, I can't stand that. Any other time you say you don't believe in God. Now, when you want somebody to do, then you're going to fall back on God. You cannot expect for kids to be respectful when you train them or raise them up on bullshit. I mean, I tried to be nice. I couldn't find nice ways of saying it. And don't come out saying, I'm still the mama. No, but you're out of order. And if that young person is trying to go in the order, in the direction of God, and you instead of trying to pull them the other way, and all you want to hold on to is that you came out of me, man, miss me with that. Because the Bible talks about that too. And the family is not your earthly family. It's your spiritual family that you should cling to at that point. But anyway, what I was trying to show y'all, because we got it wrong, man. We got it wrong in so many different ways. But right here, July 29, 2016, I was at Luby's. And a young lady said the Holy Spirit told her to tell me to start working in your purpose. I said I received it and started talking to God. Lord, I thank you. Lord, I thank you. Lord, I thank you. Let's finish this off, y'all.
Foundation of the prosecution's argument relies on proving that the Trump organization, specifically those at the very top who made decisions, was involved in a deliberate scheme to create misleading financial statements that misrepresented Trump's true
He
asset
involved his
values,
kids.
all in an effort to gain more.
Yeah.
If the state can just show that lower level accountants and
They gonna
bookkeepers
all be in
messed
there
up or
together.
didn't exercise sound judgment when valuing properties, they've got a much weaker case on their hands. The penalties the court could impose would be pretty limited too. But if they can prove that Donald, Eric, and Don Jr. were directly involved in manipulating those property valuations and were fully aware that the figures on the financial statements were way overstated, then it's a whole different ballgame. Suddenly this shifts from being a simple accounting issue or a matter of professional negligence to a serious fraud case with huge implications for them and their business empire. That's exactly what Eric's inconsistent testimony, along with some supporting emails, has done for the prosecution. It really lays bare that the Trump family was deeply involved in producing those disputed financial statements. The defense argument about not being involved truly falls apart when you look at the documentary evidence from the Trump organization. The scenes in the courtroom while Eric was testifying also shine a light on some serious legal vulnerabilities the Trump family faces, and it goes way beyond just this one civil case. Observers, including legal analysts and former prosecutors, noted Eric's style on the stand, the way he made broad denials of involvement only to end up hesitantly admitting to bits of truth when shown undeniable proof of his earlier claims being false. This pattern is exactly what fraud prosecutors are trained to watch for and exploit when building their cases. In any kind of fraud prosecution, whether civil or criminal, proving intent is really tough for the government. Prosecutors need to clearly show that the defendant was aware of their actions and their implications.
They were absolutely aware of everything
It's
that they
honestly
did.
mind-boggling how some people can find themselves in a situation like this.
He done taught them how
There's
to
no
lie
mistaking
and
it.
steal and
Eric
cheat.
Trump was presented with solid evidence that showed he was directly involved in some questionable activities. Instead of acknowledging everything, he chose to adamantly deny any involvement during his oath. It's almost like he thought that could keep him in the clear, but that kind of denial under oath just screams guilt. When someone lies about their involvement, it creates a big red flag, signaling to prosecutors that there's more to the story. If everything was above board, there really wouldn't be a reason to deny involvement. Why risk perjury charges by saying you weren't involved in something if you actually had no reason to hide it? The prosecutors definitely see the irony in that. And then there's the email evidence from McConey, which is pretty telling. Those emails weren't vague, they were straight to the point.
If you have ever wanted to land a 100 to 150K a year fully remote career in as little as the next 4 months,
McConey addressed Eric directly, clearly stating he was working on Donald Trump's annual financial statement and asked Eric for specific details about certain Trump properties. And guess what? Eric responded with that information without any middleman involved. This really highlights the intense control the Trump family maintained over their business operations while trying to project an image of distance from the financial details under scrutiny. It's an irony that the very attempts to create that distance could unravel their case. It's pretty clear that Eric Trump was personally involved in preparing financial statements that New York is claiming were fraudulently inflated. There wasn't anyone else handling the emails for him, and honestly, There wasn't any real room for
He
confusion
in
about
trouble.
what those emails were about. The purpose was laid out pretty clearly in plain language that anyone could get. Definitely not rocket science. When I look at Eric's responses, they directly show his participation in the preparation of those financial documents. If you layer that with the testimony from the appraiser who confirmed Eric had a keen personal interest in how specific properties were valued, it creates a pretty tight connection. Those properties ended up listed in the financial statements at valuations that were more than double what professionals thought they were worth. So, what does all this mean for the Trump family and their organization moving forward? Eric's time on the witness stand had some serious implications that go way beyond a single awkward afternoon filled with contradictory statements. The most immediate takeaway from his performance is that those blanket denials, followed by clear admissions, once he was confronted with his own emails, really made the prosecution's case stronger. It's not just some rogue accountants operating without supervision. It's become very clear that the whole Trump family was involved. They knew exactly what was going on with those financial statements, and they were hands-on in providing the information that went into them. Their claims of ignorance and attempts to distance themselves from the financial reporting process just don't hold up when you look at their internal communications and documented actions. It's not a good look for a defense that was hoping to downplay their involvement in this massive fraud allegation. Let me break down what's really going on in this situation, focusing on the important stuff. The argument at the start centers around how the Trump family claims they shouldn't be held personally liable for the figures in the financial statements. They're saying that since these numbers are involved in a civil fraud case, they shouldn't face any responsibility for inaccuracies. Now, this isn't just about fines that a wealthy family could easily pay off and then continue their lives as if nothing happened. No, the stakes are much higher here. The Attorney General, Letitia James, is asking for penalties that could threaten the very existence of the Trump Organization in New York, where most of their real estate and business dealings are based. She's looking for some serious repercussions, specifically a financial hit that could force the Trump family to give back hundreds of millions of dollars that they allegedly gained through these misleading financial statements. That's a big deal. Plus, there are calls for restrictions on their future business activities in New York, which means Donald Trump and his sons, Eric and Don Jr., might not be able to serve as officers in any corporation under New York law for several years. And it gets even more intense. James has requested that the court cancel the business certificates that allow the Trump Organization to operate. If that happens, it could lead to the dissolution of key Trump business entities, and they might have to sell off properties and assets that are crucial to the Trump identity, assets that have been a core part of their brand long before Donald Trump ever stepped into politics. This isn't just a slap on the wrist. These are serious threats to a family dynasty built on a real estate empire in New York. Understanding the difference between civil liability and criminal liability is crucial for anyone following this case. What's at stake here is much more than just money. It's the potential end of a legacy. The recent courtroom drama involving Eric's testimony is definitely something to talk about. When he was under oath, everything he said was recorded and transcribed, and the emails entered into evidence became part of the public record. This isn't just some isolated event in a civil courtroom. It has bigger implications. There were glaring contradictions between what Eric testified and the documentary evidence that suggested his statements were misleading, if not outright false. Now, that information is accessible to anyone, including other prosecutors who might be looking into financial conduct tied to the Trump Organization. If any federal or state prosecutors are currently eyeing potential criminal charges related to issues like bank fraud, insurance fraud, wire fraud, or tax fraud, all linked to those same financial statements and the alleged inflation of assets, then Eric's testimony and the conflicting email evidence could serve as crucial pieces for building those cases. It's fascinating how the line separating civil from criminal fraud is often thinner than most folks outside the legal field realize. But here's what I really want to emphasize about Eric's time on the witness stand. It's not just about this particular case or the Trump family's legal strategy. It speaks volumes about why that strategy is stumbling as the pressures mount from all sides. The Trump family has operated under the belief that they could control every story, every narrative in business and politics for years. They seem to think they could say whatever suited their interests, dodge inconvenient truths, and push back against anyone who dared to challenge them without ever facing real consequences. They've had the financial backing to think they could get away with it indefinitely, but the tides are clearly shifting. It's honestly hard to believe the kind of influence and charm someone can use to make issues seem to vanish, or at least to push accountability far enough away that people forget about them. For a surprisingly long time, that tactic seemed to work. However, the courtroom is a whole different ballgame compared to a political rally, a business deal, or a quick post on social media. In court, you can't just throw out whatever sounds good and walk away to move on to the next distraction. You're under oath, and what you say is being recorded word for word by court reporters, creating a permanent record. Your sworn testimony can and will be compared to documentary evidence that the opposing side has likely spent years gathering and neatly organizing, just waiting for the right moment to spring it into action. When your statements in court clash with your own internal emails and company documents, there's no spin team out there that can fix that mess. It's all there on record in the transcript. It will stick with you and your family through every legal battle, business deal, and political campaign for the rest of your lives. So it's important to keep an eye on what happens next in this case. The judge overseeing this trial saw everything that went down during Eric's testimony. The judge caught those confident denials, watched as prosecutors presented contradicting emails, and noted Eric's awkward attempts to explain away the inconsistencies, which honestly didn't seem to convince anyone.
I'd be ready,
When it's
be glad
time,
when they get up out of here and go to jail. Yeah, I'll be back later. I will be back later. I don't know how to. Lord, I'm just looking, y'all. I'm just looking. I'm just looking. Let me see if I have any personal information. I mean, we're going to have to start doing things a little different. We're going to have to get back on purpose. And I'm looking through my little old book. And July 98, Sunday, Reverend E.K. Bailey. Ooh, that man could preach. Ooh, Lord. Rest in peace, Pastor Bailey. Oh, my God. That man could preach. He'd take you round off up in there, baby, and land you somewhere. Says, what as Christians should we be doing? Why am I here? What's my purpose? So in 98, I was stuck on purpose, right? I just told you a lady Came into Luby's and told me to walk in my purpose. Start walking in my purpose. That's what she said. Yeah. Release the power, the authority of Christ in the world. Spread the word. Direct divine power. God-given power to spread divine power. Okay. Acts. You can direct divine power to any person. A lame church can't help a lost world. I said, oh, babe. When I just saw that, I said, well, there we go right there. A lame person. A lame person. I don't know why. It was 98, y'all, so ain't no telling where I was. A lame church, can't help a lost world. That synagogue down there in that tunnel that we was just talking about. Can't help nobody. Because he's not walking in God's power. Yeah, it's time for us to stop playing with these people. Stop allowing them to change God's word. We need to stand up and be on purpose. Spread the truth, the gospel of Jesus Christ. And if you having a problem with that, you need to ask God to give you the words, the message. You need to start asking God to clean you up and clean you out. Give you wisdom to reach the people. Because we finna be in for a fight. And we need to be prepared. Amen. Okay, I'll see y'all later. It's 5:36. It'll probably be later on tonight. Let me handle some things. Get some things together. And shout out, Lord. Let the person know that I'm thankful that a good seed was planted. A good seed. So it's very important to plant good seeds. Now, it may not have grown when he planted it, but he planted it. And I'm so very thankful that God used somebody that he knew at that time that I could receive. And Lord, I want you to let that person know in their heart and in their mind that the seed that was planted is making sure I grow good fruit.